Alright, anyway, we are videoing. We have a tier list. You guys know what it is, because it's in the title of the video. You know that when I say that it's definitely not going to be controversial at all, that I'm lying. Donovan here doesn't know what it is, because I wanted to surprise him. So, what do you think it is?
Are we saying which death battles we think are right or wrong in their verdict?
You're half there. That was a burp. Pardon you.
I can
We
tell.
are putting them into a tier list on who we think would canonically win, not based on power scaling or how powerful the series treat them, more in the way of like in an official crossover where there had to be a winner, who narratively fitting to the characters would make the most sense to win. Right?
Right.
So the first one, Boba Fett Samus, is obviously, as an example, obviously Samus would win. Like, she is the protagonist of the Metroids. And Boba Fett is kind of just a guy who was the protagonist of one thing that nobody liked.
He was a protagonist of a couple things. He's had his handful of spin-off stories.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, everyone loves Book of Boba Fett.
So, thoughts?
Especially the part where it stops being a Boba Fett show and it just starts being Mandalorian Season 2.5.
Yeah, the Book of Mandalorian technically wouldn't be incorrect as a name, but...
And then the next one would be Akuma versus
Well, I
Shang
wanted to get
Tsung.
your thoughts on the tier list. What do you think of the idea?
I think... Well, there's already a show called Who Would Canonically Win, albeit that show definitely isn't following this format. I think the title's a little misleading, but that's neither here nor there.
What show are you talking about? Are you talking about Smash Bracket?
Yeah, that's what
Well,
they changed it to, right? Who would canonically win?
No, the name is Smash Bracket. It's just that was the thing they put in the title because that got more views and it worked.
Oh, okay.
I've already put in not applicable. Death Battle versus the World because obviously, Bieber Black is in there. All the like remakes with the same verdict. The Rooster Teeth version of Venom Bane. And Heracles versus Sunum Hung, because canon in the terms of religion means something very different. So we're going to go to Akuma Shang Tsung now.
I feel like it's also just hard because, like, there isn't, like, a way to... Because there's so many stories, there's so many different sects of any given religion where it's like...
Yeah.
One person's interpretation of a religion is going to be different from another person's, so you can't really talk on it that definitively.
Yeah. We can talk about Akuma versus Shang Tsung, though. And hilariously, despite the fact that Shang is, like, a Titan sort of level threat, when they did Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, the Akuma, Infinity Stones, you know the deal.
There's this funny thing where Akuma's whole bit recurring throughout the series is that if there's a really strong guy, at some point Akuma's going to kick the shit out of them. That's how he got introduced, beating up M. Bison. That's how he later on beat up Gen. Meanwhile, if there's anyone really of note, Shang Tsung's probably going to lose to them at some point.
Yeah. That's the thing with Akuma is I think his worst results were a draw against Oro, and one of the many fights he's had with Ryu ended with him losing in one continuity. Every other time, he's kind of come out on top.
Yeah.
So, I just think Akuma would win. In like just how they're portrayed generally, Shang Tsung is not that guy, and Akuma is the guy that Shang Tsung thinks he is.
Yeah, where it's like Capcom themselves had Akuma pretty much stalemate the God of Wrath.
Yeah. I definitely think Akuma would win. Rogue versus Wonder Woman. This one's gonna be the comic book ones I think are gonna be a little bit more tricky because it's a bit harder to pin down how they're portrayed because it can wildly differ depending on writer. And one of them is Wonder Woman here, which is a big example of that.
Yeah. I feel like this is one of the easier comic book ones to call just because it's Wonder Woman.
It's Wonder Woman.
There are very few characters in comic books with higher billing than Wonder Woman, let alone Rogue.
Of her 3 matchups, one of them is around the level of Wonder Woman in that sort of like thing, and that's because of the MCU. But
Yeah.
Rogue and She-Ra, they are not Wonder Woman, and Thor. Well,
Entirely
he's not
because of
Wonder
the
Woman either,
MCU, Thor's never been important in anything else ever.
Yeah.
Invented by Stan Lee, never existed before.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true with that specific version of Thor, at least. You know, Goomba Koopa. It's gonna be really awkward if I say something here that contradicts my video on episodes that canonically happened, because I don't remember everything. Goomba Koopa,
I would assume Koopa because just generally speaking, a Koopa takes 2 hits to take out and a Goomba takes 1.
yeah, I do feel like if they were to fight, I mean, I guess this is one where like we'd have to look at the RPGs where they have like characters and such as to who genuinely is portrayed as having the advantage.
I think typically Koopas have like a little slightly higher of a standing as an enemy than Goombas do, but Goombas come in a little more variety.
I'd say incorrect just because like the idea of being a complete draw, not sure on that. Speaking of incorrect, Hagar Zangief, just canonically, like, it's a fact. Zangief cannot take Hagar. Nowadays, maybe. But...
Well, nowadays, Hagar's dead.
Yeah. So I think Zangief could probably win if he has the ability to touch ghosts. But... the one time they fought, Hagar won. So...
yeah.
I don't think the lack of a political
that was
agenda...
Prime Hagar, too. That was him back in his youth.
I don't think the lack of a political agenda from a man who hangs out with the Russian president is exactly going to help Zangief here.
I feel like both of them have a political agenda to push, really.
Yeah. Ninja Turtle Battle Royale. The Turtles have fought before. I know the most famous event where they fought was the one where Raphael won. But usually when all the turtles fight, Leonardo comes out on top. Like, it's just how it is.
It's also just like him being the leader is, I mean, for a myriad of reasons, depending on your continuity. But a lot of the time, it's for reasons like being able to keep his head the coolest in a fight, generally having all the best, attributes of the other turtles. Maybe not to the same extent, but being more well-rounded in general. Where it's like, in a lot of continuities, it's like Donatello might not be as confident. Michelangelo might have a harder time, putting his all into it. Raphael, kind of a dick, might get a little angry.
I might get a little angry, yeah. I'm eating, by the way.
Just a little.
If anyone's wondering why there's a crunching sound, if that's being picked up. I just woke up like an hour ago.
It could be him eating, or it could be my skull slowly collapsing in.
Hopefully it's me eating then. Alright, Zitz versus Leonardo. I've not played Battletoads, I don't think. Well, I might have played a bit of it, but I don't think I ever finished the game.
I feel like generally a Ninja Turtle's going to have higher billing than a Battletoad, but...
Well, I'm trying to think more than just billing it, like narratively what makes sense. And...
the only crossover I can think of, the Battletoads lost against Shovel Knight.
yeah, that was a 3-on-1 and they lost, so... I say that as if the Turtles did 4-on-1
in most
Batman
crossovers, Leo can usually hold his own against whoever he's up against.
Yeah. I feel like the thing is that the Battletoads are generally portrayed as like a bit more full-on the Turtles, but not more full-on than some of the stuff the Turtles take on. Like, the Turtles are usually portrayed as punching a little over their weight class across their history. So I do feel like in a one-on-one Leo would probably beat Zitz, and in a full-on team battle, I think there's a good chance a crossover would have it eke out into a draw, or they would get interrupted. In a team battle, I think that Zitz would take Leo, because there's less of the Battletoads. They would need to portray the Battletoads as individually stronger, to sort of fit to sort of make it not seem too one-sided, I think a one-on-one Leo would win. So I think it's correct.
Yeah, honestly, in like the turtle renaissance we're in right now, I wouldn't even be surprised if like a Turtles and Battletoads crossover comic happened.
I'm hoping that the Party Wagon gets us the Turtles Transformers comic in coming soon. Party Wallop, sorry, not Party Wagon. He turns into the wagon. I'm hoping we get something from that. Though it took him ages to give us something for Giga what? Took us ages.
Yeah, a Battletoad's not that much crazier than like a Krang, really.
Right, Yoshi versus Riptor.
Well, Yoshi.
Well, yeah, Yoshi's like a main player, and Riptor, she ain't that. She's not her. This is the one where when I was doing this,
Riptor's literally mass produced. Like, he's just gonna be another enemy to turn into an egg and throw at a wall.
Yeah, Felicia vs. Taukaka. This is funny because like with Taukaka, she doesn't exactly have the best record in general.
No, she's also just not very story relevant. That said,
Is Felicia?
Most of the major shit happening in Darkstalkers, Felicia's not like. It really depends, because Darkstalkers' story is very much spread out depending on which character you're choosing to follow the story of. But the major events involving like the Makai realm, the merging thereof, or like the major events with Pyron or Jeddah, Felicia's never at the center of them. So neither of them are of like that high standing in like the narrative of their worlds. But I feel like Taukaka generally is a little more dangerous, at least.
Oh, Taukaka is portrayed as like technically strong enough to fight on par with a lot of the others. She's just an absolute moron. Here's the thing, like
she is a moron, but she wasn't like raised as a nun and isn't aspiring to be a pop star.
No, I mean if this was
where
cartoon,
it's like I feel like Taukaka is a lot more willing to maul somebody.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, because I don't know Darkstalkers well. I know if it was the cartoon, Felicia would win. She was, like, the protagonist of that. And Taukaka has never been that relevant. Unless she's super relevant in the stage show that nobody watched. I doubt it. I doubt that was the day of Taukaka, to be honest. I didn't even know if Taukaka was in the stage show, because I can't even find a full cast list online.
But you're Ragna.
That's me. I'm Ragnar. Do you think I remember what happened on that day? That was ages ago, man. I'm getting old.
You are getting old. It's true.
You don't even know how old I am, bro. That's
what you think.
I did give a little bit away to Biff by accident, but you know, you don't need to know that.
I think Tao would hold the edge, especially because I think it's just Felicia's generally not anywhere near as confrontational.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think in a fight. In, like, canonical fights, how well does Felicia tend to do versus how well Taukaka tends to do? Tao doesn't tend to do well. Narratively, both would lose to Mercenary
well, if you
Tao.
believe it, if you're playing Felicia's arcade mode, she's going to win all of the fights.
Yeah, I guess that's a problem with some of the fighting game characters.
But, like, in supplementary material, like the Udon comics, she's not really in that many fights. I think she has a fight with, like, a witch or something like that, and I think she wins, but I don't even remember the witch's name. She's not a playable character.
How about the OVA? What's her role in the OVA?
I didn't finish the OVA. That's also been many, many years ago. I honestly could not tell you.
So our measurements for this for Taukaka it's simple because her games have a ton of stuff in them. In Darkstalker's case, if we look at the comics, Felicia doesn't do much. If we look at the game, it's difficult to gauge. If we look at the cartoon, Felicia is the protagonist, and if we look at the OVA, we'd have to actually watch it.
Right. So, I'm sure the comments are going to tell us we're dumb and wrong and smell bad, but
I'm going to put it in don't know well enough then, just because I'm just going to put it in unsure. Because I feel like that one just is going to depend too much on the medium. Or someone's going to come in and reveal that in this old ass Darkstalkers manga, Felicia's out here like body slamming Pyron.
Fucking who knows?
Oh god, Kratos
Anita's
versus
the one that in the Udon comic, fucking Dimitri comes along and then just like absorbs Pyron, and then Anita shows up and just freezes him in a crystal.
That's a moment. We're at Kratos versus Spawn.
Fucking well, this debate comes down to how much narrative weight do you put into killing the Greek pantheon versus killing God and Satan.
Like the thing is, if we took Kratos at his peak in Greece, there was like a bit of outside help going on, honestly, into how good he was at that point. There's a lot of help he got, less than Spawn, but Spawn still has a lot of help coming in. I think, because you see, no one's actually read the Spawn comics. Is the thing, right? No one's actually read them. Mm-hmm. That's been well established now for me. That knowledge that nobody's actually sat down to fucking read them. I don't even know if Todd McFarlane himself has read his own comics. But generally, I think Spawn is portrayed as more overall unstoppable. Because the thing with Kratos is that a lot of it is more he gets his ass kicked and then gets back up. Spawn is a lot more just he gets his ass kicked, but it didn't actually kick him that much.
Yeah, there was a while where he had stitches in his head from a Batman crossover where he stuck a batarang in his forehead.
But that's just stupid, though. I mean, look, Kratos lost a fight to Shovel Knight. In fact, when I get to doing the crossover Kings episode for Kratos, y'all gonna see just how sad it is for the Ghost of Sparta.
Getting his ass kicked in golf by like fucking Sackboy.
Not in golf. Kratos. In crossovers, Kratos generally isn't portrayed as unstoppable. While I think I would need to actually look at Spawn's crossovers to see how he's often portrayed. But in the Archie Comics crossover, he's portrayed as a big deal, and that it's not a good thing that he's decided to leave instead of help out. But he's the least interesting part of that crossover. People focus on Spawn. He is the least interesting part of that. I think the part where a car phases through a mall and Savage Dragon decides to tell them to freeze while also spraying them with bullets just everywhere is a lot more interesting. Because that makes me go, hold on, Dragon, what are you doing? Because he's doing something.
It makes me think of that clip of Arkham where Batman fucking like hazes that guy and then clips him through a wall and then goes, talk! It's like, what do you mean talk? You fucking killed him, dude. He's dead.
He's not talking ever again.
He's done, buddy.
He's gonna take him to the Lazarus pit. He's gonna wake up. He's gonna go, talk! He was really dedicated to hounding this one guy.
Can you imagine getting fucking, like, your face just, like, dipped into the Lazarus pit?
I do think generally that Spawn... Like, Kratos has more moments of weakness to my knowledge than Spawn does, and that's why I think in a crossover, Spawn would beat Kratos, and then Kratos would get back up a little bit later and continue the fight and either win or turned into a draw of some kind.
Probably.
I think the initial fight would be a Spawn win, and it would be Kratos getting back up to continue it that would lead to a potential Kratos win.
They're fighting in hell. Spawn's like, wait, look at that thing. He just points to Malebolgia, and Kratos is like, I'm gonna rip that thing apart. And Malebolgia's like, wait, no, I didn't do anything.
Kratos just judges him on his looks.
Like, you seem evil. I'm going to rip your spine out of your ear. He's like, oh no.
Oh yeah, also, like, when Kratos dies, it generally takes longer for him to claw his way back than for Spawn. That's not saying anything, because Spawn just comes back by will, but Kratos has to, like, climb. He's got to climb. Like a peasant.
Mm-hmm.
Bomberman versus Dig Dug. How is Taizo generally portrayed in anything?
It depends, because, in the Mr. Driller series, he's a sad, divorced dad.
Yeah. I do think the Giga Chad design would win just on, like, vibes.
Is it fucking, is it Teppen, where he has, like, that really fucking, like, action-y design?
No, I don't think it's Teppen.
You know the one I'm talking about,
I
though,
know the
where
one
he's
you're
just like
talking about.
a full human-sized man.
Like the
I don't
Giga
remember what
Chad
that's
design.
from.
Is that Project
Yeah.
X Zone? I think it's
Fuck, it
no.
might.
Is it
It might
is it
be. It
Namco X?
might
It might
be.
be Namco X Capcom, which
It's
is
some crossover. I know that much.
I think it's one of the Capcom ones. That's Giga Chad Dig Dog. I think he would beat Bomberman just because he looks like he's got that energy. He looks like Captain Falcon's cooler
Yeah.
uncle.
Where it's like Bomberman these days, with his like whole fucking squadron of multicolored bombers, is just like he's like, all right, team, let's go do hero stuff and save the day, and they're all being silly. He's like, can we show a little coordination? Come on, guys. uh, Meanwhile, in like Mr. Driller stuff, which I think a Mr. Driller game came out not that long ago, that was like Dig Dug's most recent appearance. He's like, "Hey, Mr. Driller, can you tell your mom I miss her? I'm sorry about the breakup." He's like, "Dad, you're 40 years old. Go fucking do something with your life. Leave me alone."
I mean, to be fair, like losing Kissy Baraduke, that's gotta feel bad. Like losing the original Samus Aran of gaming. Like, damn. That's gotta hurt. You'll land that catch and then you'll let it go anyway. She'd probably kick his ass if she wanted to. Like, just considering his job. His job is to pop tomatoes and burst chibi dragons and dig holes. Her job is to go around slaughtering aliens en masse with guns. I think she'd kick his ass if he tried anything.
Mm. But yeah, I think typically Bomberman is shown as more competent, and his just like he's constantly saving the day, saving planets or like the universe or whatever. Meanwhile, Dig Dug's just going around fucking breaking apart islands or like exploding tomatoes.
Yeah. I think it's incorrect because, like, Namco Capcom, if we're just going to assume it's that Dig Dug, I think that's portrayed more as, like, an absolute badass, would generally win because Bomberman is more of a team worker. But canonical Dig Dug, canonical Taiza Hori, he's going to be, like, at home drinking booze when Bomberman shows up and starts nuking the place, and he's just going to die.
He's like, well, at least I don't have to wake up tomorrow.
By the way, you can't see it. When I was making the tier list, I spelled incorrectly, and I decided to keep it because I thought it'd be funny. Do you think people are going to actually realize that it's a joke? Or do you think they're going to think that I didn't notice the misspelling? What do you think they're going to assume?
Well, now that you've explained it,
sure. No, Don, but... you're saying that as if me explaining something has ever helped the viewers figure out what's going on.
That is fair. For you viewers who do understand that it's a joke and are not going to be awful about it in the comments, you're smart. We appreciate you. For those of you who are going to leave comments about how we're dumb and stupid and smell bad, your mom. Anyway, next matchup.
Vegeta versus Shadow. Vegeta would lose.
First of all, I am Vegeta. Second of all, you're not Vegeta.
I think that is the explanation you need on why Vegeta would lose this. Because it's Vegeta.
Yeah, because, like...
I hate to say it, because I like Shadow, but I like Vegeta a lot more. But
they did take the Archie comics into account for this, in which case Shadow is used as a measuring stick for Sonic about as much as Vegeta is for Goku, where it's like, there's a lot of threats that show up and then kick the shit out of Shadow, and then Sonic's like, well, guess it's my turn.
Yeah, but the primary one was still Game Shadow.
Also, what are the odds that Vegeta runs into Shadow and Shadow remembers who he is?
That's possible. I do want to note that this is also this episode is in the context of a GT Vegeta who can't access Super Saiyan 4. So this is literally Shadow full power versus Vegeta, like, not even like half power, not even quarter power. He ain't getting the power boost from Super Saiyan 4 or anything. He's stuck in Super Saiyan 2. I think it would be insulting to suggest that Vegeta would win in those conditions, of the conditions of GT Vegeta limited to only Super Saiyan 2, when Vegeta, at full power, tends to lose pretty much every fight he's ever had.
Yeah. Okay, so his lose record's not as bad if we're not counting Super. In GT, I think the only fight of note that he has is Omega Shenron, which, granted, he gets the shit kicked out of him. He gets impaled in like 3 different places, but that is still only one loss on that record. But then if we go back to Z, he loses his initial fight on Earth, shows up on Namek, beats Kui, Zarbon, and Dodoria after losing to Zarbon once. He loses to Frieza. Then he fights Frieza again
Hold
and
on, he gets
loses.
bodied by Ricoom.
Yeah, oh yeah, he gets the shit kicked out of him by
But,
Raku. I
to his
forgot about the
credit,
Ginyu Force, my
after
bad.
that, he does basically one-shot Jace. So, kind of evens it out.
Yeah, he kills Goldo. He gets
Yeah,
the
and
shit
Goldo.
kicked out of him by a Raccoon, and then after Goku incapacitates half the Ginyu Force, he just blows them up.
Except
Uh,
Jace, because Jace is still full condition, really. He just got punched once in the face.
well, he blows him up later anyway, so.
No, I'm
'Cause
saying that
Jace is like,
Jace wasn't that weakened by Goku the way Ricoom and Birdo were.
no, he wasn't, but Vegeta does end up beating him anyway.
Yeah.
And then after Namek, let me think.
It's
He
after
doesn't
Namek
get
where
to
I think
fight
it all
Mecha
goes
Frieza.
downhill. Like, Namek
Yeah, he
and
doesn't
Saiyan
get to fight
Saga
Mecha
Vegeta is
Frieza.
great.
18 kicks the absolute dog shit. Well, first he fights 19 and he wins, which is cool.
Yeah, he's like
He
one of his
doesn't
few
catch
wins
up to
at that
Dr.
point.
Gero. 18 kicks the fuck out of him. He beats up he beats up
Yeah, he
semi-perfect
beats him
Cell,
up.
and then Cell goes perfect, beats the dog shit out of Vegeta, and then the Buu Saga comes around. He has his fight against Goku where he technically wins, but Goku didn't bust out Super Saiyan 3. But a win is a win. Um, and then he fights
If we're
Fat
counting the
Buu,
Saiyan
kills
Saga thing as a
himself.
loss.
Buu gets back up. Yeah, well, it's because like they had him pretty much dead to rights there. Meanwhile, in the Buu saga, Goku was unconscious on the ground, and Vegeta was still standing. Where it's like, at least on the human side, Krillin could get back up and walk. Uh, and then yeah, he fights Fat Buu, dies. Buu gets back up, he's fine. And then the next time he fights is technically as part of Vegito, which if you count Gogeta, he didn't lose that fight in GT. He just ran out of time. And then as Vegito, he loses. And then as Vegeta, he fights Kid Buu, gets his shit kicked in long enough for Goku to Spirit Bomb.
He
And,
relies on his ability to get his ass kicked.
Technically, both filler and movies are canon to GT as well. So every time he's jobbed in a movie also counts. So that's Metacooler, that's Bojack, that's Broly, that's
13.
Janemba, that's
Super Android 13.
Yeah, Super Android 13, that's Harudagarn.
And any filler that may
Yeah.
have been forgotten about that he may have also jobbed in.
Fucking let me think.
I mean, I don't need to
I don't
give you
remember
fucking
how much
permission.
of the Z filler. I don't remember how much of the Z filler he's even prevalent for, but I
Yeah.
also, to be fair, don't remember all of the Z
To be
filler
fair,
off
the
the
most
top of my
famous
head,
Z,
'cause it's a
the
long
most
fucking
famous
show.
Vegeta Z filler is Alia, so that was not a loss.
No,
Decidedly.
that wasn't.
I think the thing is, if you use their first few appearances only, like you only used Saiyan Saga, Namek Saga, and Sonic Adventure 2, and Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog, they're generally both portrayed during those eras as really fucking strong. Very little can really stop them in a one-on-one fight. And usually they'll find a way to come out ahead in the end anyway. It's kind of after that where Shadow never really loses that standing, but Android Saga onwards, Vegeta kind of slowly starts to like fall a little. He kind of starts jobbing a bit more.
Yeah, I think it's more so that Shadow doesn't really start losing fights as much as the situations and scenarios he's in are increasingly more and more stupid.
So
It's
I
like,
look
damn,
at
I've lost my memory, and the devil from space is trying to get me to kill
I
the
look at something
president.
like at 06, right? if Vegeta was in that situation with Mephiles, where he was fighting the main villain, and the main villain's really like just ready to kick his ass, Vegeta is absolutely losing that fight. Shadow won that fight. Shadow won that fight against the main antagonist. Vegeta ain't not. Has Vegeta ever beaten the main antagonist of an arc?
Um,
Like, the only time the main antagonist
do
of an
you, do
arc
you,
lost with him around was when he was the main villain.
yeah, I was gonna say,
I don't count him losing as him beating the main villain.
fucking
Like,
Super Broly. Well, that's if you count that as an arc, and if you count Broly just barely not dying as Vegeta winning, and also it's only half Vegeta, which is really stretching for meeting that requirement.
yeah, that's really stretching. And also, this is GT Vegeta we're talking about, too.
Yeah, he's not even in the GT movie. Goku is as a ghost for some reason.
Oh, really? I've never seen the GT movie. Vegeta's not in it.
The G No, the GT movie is about Pan's grandson, so Goku's fucking like great grandson or whatever, Goku Jr. And Vegeta's great grandson, Vegeta Jr. is also there, and they do have a little fight at the end. But Vegeta himself is not in the movie. Meanwhile, Goku Jr. he gets bullied and he goes off and he goes to like this shrine where he's like, "This is the 4-star ball. This is what my many generations ago Grandpa Goku had." And then the Goku's fucking ghost shows up. He's like, "Hey, what's got you so down, kid?" He's like, "Oh my God, Goku." He's like, "Yeah, you look like me. I bet that means you're Pan's like grandson or something. You're probably pretty strong. Go show them what for." And so he does. And then at the final tournament where it's Goku Jr. versus Vegeta Jr., Pan is watching them, and then she looks off to the side and sees Goku in the crowd and goes to like talk to him, but then he just
Oh, is
disappears.
that
And
what
then
that
like,
clip's from?
yeah, he disappears, and then it cuts to him walking through the crowd outside of the like tournament as like a spirit, which isn't the first time in this continuity that Goku's done spirit walking, like when Gohan's getting fucking destroyed by Bojack and Goku just ghost punches him in the
Yeah.
jaw.
That is not the most famous thing he did in that movie.
Or at the end of GT even, when fucking he's just like blipping in and out of reality to go around to people. He's like, "Hey Piccolo, can I shake your hand?" Yeah, sure, I guess. He's like, "Wait," so and he turns around and Goku's just gone. He's like, "Where the fuck? Where did he go?"
That's Biff's favorite part of this video.
Is it?
He'll tell me. Um, I think in the end, honestly, if this was actually Xeno Vegeta versus Archie Shadow, I would say absolutely Xeno Vegeta would win that, because I'm not super versed in it, but every time I've seen Xeno Vegeta, he's not really portrayed as that much of like the measuring stick jobber guy. He's usually portrayed as like on the same level as Xeno Goku. Just he doesn't show up as often, while Archie Shadow
Yeah, I was gonna
kind of
say
does
that's
job a
if
lot.
he's there.
Like when Xeno Vegeta shows up, he doesn't usually like job super hard. Usually when he
There's a clip,
loses, he
or
puts up a
a
good
clip
fight.
at it. There's a bit I love from the Archie comics where it's all of like the different other hedgehogs are showing up, where it's like Scourge and Metal Sonic and Amy and Silver and everyone's showing up, and fucking Scourge shows up. He's like, "Hey Sonic, did you miss me?" And Sonic's like, "No." Shadow shows up. He's like, "Sonic, it's me, your rival. Who's that? Why does he have a crown?" He's like, "I'm the king of all hedgehogs. I killed everyone in my universe. I'm evil, Sonic." That's stupid.
Honestly, I think that's what he would
Where
say.
it's
Yeah, that's it.
Where Shadow's just like, I don't know who you are, but you are immediately the lamest person I've ever met.
Imagine you're standing next to Silver and Amy, and the guy still says you're the lamest.
Yeah. S- s-
Oh my god, what the hell? No, you sound, you can't hear it. You sound like a fucking analog horror clip right now. You guys heard that, right? That wasn't just me on my end. Like, you guys in the audience heard that, right? That not picked up, right?
Bazinga.
Okay. That was... I feel bad
It
for the
could be the
people
Eldritch Madness
I feel
leaking
bad
out of my
for the-
ears. I feel like I've been slowly going deaf the past day and a half.
I feel bad for the people who are watching this, like, in the background, like, while they're doing something else. They just hear that out of nowhere. Oh my god.
But since like a yesterday morning, it feels like there's been a fucking pressure buildup in my head, so I can... It's better now, but like all of yesterday, I couldn't fucking hear anything, and
Maybe
so I
you
think
should
there's just like
go get checked up.
eldritch gunk leaking out of my ears onto your side.
Maybe you're developing tinnitus. You should go to get that looked at.
It might be. I think it's just allergies. I think my sinuses are all fucked up, and so it's throwing me off.
Anyway, I'm putting Vegeta Shadow in incorrect because a GT Vegeta who can't even use his full power against like a full-on Shadow. Shadow's gonna win that.
Wife, use the monkey beam.
No.
That's what she says. No.
Vegeta just goes, "Oh, that's my Bulma," and then dies.
Oh, okay. I guess I'll lose.
Oh man, I went 3 days without a loss. That's a new record, boys.
What's next? What's next on the menu?
Mario versus Sonic. This is interesting. Because they have competed before. I can't exactly give away the results overall because that's going to give away a Crossover Kings episode. But it's more even than some might think, and less even than some others would think. That is the least fucking helpful thing I could have said.
I'm gonna say, I might give the edge to Sonic in this one, just because like typically when he's on top of his game, he's like absolutely dominant in whatever fight he's in. Meanwhile, like when Mario's on his game, like on top of his game, a lot of the time he's just barely scraping by.
My thing is, just take a look at Smash. That's when they cross over most. Not most blatantly, that would be Olympic Games, but in Smash, Sonic is the guy that showed up and mollywopped Taboo's wings. Mario is the guy that gets his ass kicked in every Smash trailer.
Yeah, including by Sonic twice, both in Sonic's trailer and Steve's.
So I'm just going to say correct for this version, and the other version, we'll get there. Luke, Harry. Anyone? This is Expanded Universe Luke. So...
Yeah. Like, Harry Potter does have an amount of, like, prophecy to him as, like, the boy who lived, but that's mostly specifically in reference to, like, Death Eaters and, like, the defeat of Voldemort. That's, like, that's strictly that prophecy. Meanwhile, Luke is just a complete legend amongst the entire universe, really, in the extended canon in Legends, because he's mastered more or less every form of lightsaber combat there is, mastered every force technique, fucking figured some out that people didn't even know existed, and was able to go against, like, if I'm not wrong, like, what, the embodiment of, like, the dark side of the Force, or whatever the hell Abeloth is supposed to be.
Let's just say that if there was a Harry Potter equivalent to Abeloth, the closest you could get is not Voldemort, it's Death, the guy who gave the things that made Voldemort and Dumbledore as strong as they were. Harry's not standing up to Death. Unless he did in the books, that would be stupid. He shouldn't. And Luke would. And Luke would win. He wouldn't stand up to Death, he would just beat him.
Yeah, where it's like, if it's like Disney canon Luke, I think maybe there's more of a conversation to be had, but when it's the Legends Luke, Luke is like a legend amongst the legends in his own verse.
Like, he's surpassed, like,
or it's like Harry Potter's well known, but it's like, throughout wizard history, I don't know if Harry Potter is the most important person.
I think Dumbledore would be the more appropriate approximation to the legend Luke is.
Yeah.
Not Harold. Alright, Chun-Li versus Mai Shiranui. I don't know Fatal Fury lore super
Chun-Li.
well. Chun-Li tends to win a lot of fights, but also lose a lot too. but she is always
Yeah.
relatively plot relevant, except in 6. But no one's plot relevant in 6 except for you and
Chun-Li is still
old
to this
man.
day heralded as the strongest woman in the world, which is not a title Mai holds in King of Fighters or Fatal
Ever.
Fury. Where it's like just the general standing in the world Chun-Li has as like one of the greatest martial artists on the planet and the strongest woman in the world. Like Mai's pretty impressive. She's well known, but she's not Chun-Li level.
Yeah. There's also, I don't know why my mind first went to the Spy X Fam crossover where they had Chun fight Yor and just like they just
Yeah,
evened
that's the
out.
most impressive thing Chun-Li's ever done.
It's just funny because like people, because I'm in the Versus scene. I haven't seen Spy Fam yet. Uh, People only ever bring up Yor's like gag feats, and if it's like, huh, and they're just gonna have Chun Li take that on and like equal it. And then I think, oh yeah, she did have that like city-sized Kikosho that one time. I guess that's fair.
Yeah, and like honestly, she should probably scale to the fucking meteor feat they keep using
Oh
for E
yeah,
Honda
yeah.
as well.
Uh,
There's no reason she wouldn't be
I
that
I
strong.
think Chun Li would scale above every female in the series. I think the only one that I think could beat her in a fight is Juri, and Juri has before, I believe.
Yeah.
I think Cammy could come close. I think she'd do a pretty good job. I think chances are, just due to plot, Makoto and Sakura would do better than they have any right to. I think Seth would probably kick her ass, but I don't think Seth really counts as much as Seth is, I would say, gender fluid, considering.
Yeah.
Um,
I think the easiest, like the most correct way to describe that is that Seth is still Seth. He still goes by he him pronouns as far as I'm aware.
oh, he
It's
does? I
just
didn't know
a
that.
different body that happens to be feminine.
Rose would probably do good against Chun Li, but given how Rose's life goes, she would find a way to lose. Um,
Yeah.
Even with M Bison
With
level
Chun-Li
power.
versus Jury, I think that's the closest fight that it's getting, and I think it could honestly go either way
Yeah.
depending, but like as Jury is currently, I don't know if she'd beat Chun.
There is. I mean, I think it would still be relatively close between them because they're both a bit more calmed down now. They're not like taking on the same level threats anymore. But they're still technically keeping up their training.
Yeah. Yeah, where it's like my argument's not so much that she's not as strong as Chun-Li anymore. It's just that she doesn't have that drive to fucking beat the shit out of people like she did.
Yeah, there is Ingrid.
What about Ingrid?
That's a good point. I think Chun Li would win. I think this episode is incorrect. I think Starscream Rainbow Dash is correct given what they used. Um,
That's pretty fair.
because they focused on cartoon Starscream, and he would find a way to lose to Derpy Hooves. If I'm being honest. So
You're the expert on both theories.
okay,
I
look.
couldn't tell you.
What I remember them using, I think they did touch Marvel Comics. If I went with like cosmically powered Starscream, that would be like a T-Rex level equivalency, I would say, maybe higher even, because cosmically powered Starscream, as much of a meme as he's become, he really is just straight up. He one-shot the majority of the cast at once. So, but that's not what they gave him. They used they 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 used the Kiss Players timeline. I'm just gonna say it's correct, just morally, because they did that. Master Chief versus Doom Boy.
Um,
Um,
at the time, we didn't have Doom 2016 or Doom Eternal, so this is Doom Guy. This is not Doom Slayer.
I didn't say either of
Uh,
those things, to be fair.
yeah, I'm just laying this down so that the audience and we both know where we're
To
approaching
be
this
fair,
conversation from. Because
he
if we're taking
was
them as they were then,
Doomy ass was still portrayed. Flynn was still portrayed as mostly unstoppable during the early era, just not to the same exaggerated extent as he is today.
he was. Because as I understand it, obviously Doom 2, and Doom 64, same continuity. Three different character. That's the Doom Marine. That is a
Yeah,
completely different guy. Might not even be the same continuity. I'm not sure. And
I
then
have to
the
check.
Doom Slayer in 2016 in Eternal. I think there's some lore stuff to suggest that he might be a different person from the original Doom guy, but he might also be the same person. I'm not sure. I'm not entirely clear on that lore, but the original Doom guy. I I don't think it's unfair to say that beating the armies of hell on three separate occasions is at least comparable, if not outright more impressive than beating like the Covenant, for
Yeah,
example.
especially because
Especially
he did it
because,
solo and Chief didn't.
yeah, he did it by himself. Meanwhile, beating the Covenant, Chief had the backing of the UNSC. Beating the Flood, he had the backing of the UNSC and the branch of the Covenant that broke off with the Arbiter. And then beating the Forerunners, he had the help of both again.
Yeah, I think okay. Doomslayer wins. He would narratively just kick the crap out of Chief. I think Chief would destroy the Doom Marine. Because he's just kind of like he's the Doom Marine's impressive, but in lore he is a guy comparatively.
Hmm.
I think original trilogy Doom guy, I'm gonna call him, against Chief would be the most reasonable. You could argue Chief would win without just putting him against the Marine. I think logically, Doom guy would win, but to show off how impressive Chief is, Chief would find a way to survive the fight. Like Chief would be like the one guy to get into a fight with the Doomslayer and just come out alive and relatively uninjured at the end of it, still able to go. I do think that because his big thing is that he's really fucking lucky, right? It's put very blatantly, especially in like some of the novels, that Chief's not that special, except that he is just super lucky. And with that luck
Yeah.
came survivability. With that survivability came
'Cause for,
experience.
for all his for all intents and purposes, he effectively went through the same Spartan 2 program. I think he is Spartan 2
Yes,
that everybody else did. And he was lucky enough to begin with to be one of the ones that survived the initial training, and then lucky enough to be a part of that group that didn't get horribly debilitated from it, and then went on to go to war, and
that was lucky.
didn't die in the fall of Reach, because that's not dying is pretty cool. And then he happened to get paired up with Cortana, and then everything else he's managed to do, he has fucking barely scraped by. Speaking of, though, I really want to see a versus project with Master Chief where Cortana plays into it at all,
That would be
because
cool.
literally
Yeah,
every Master Chief fight I've ever seen in anything versus related has never played her into it at all, despite her being the only character he has a significant bond with and isn't just like a comrade in arms.
yeah. Well, no, in the books he's got like a really strong relationship with the members of his team. It's just that if you play Halo 5, you're really not going to get that. And then they're really not going to get the
Yeah.
impression that like Kelly is one of his closest friends and one of the few people he really trusts with all of his life. You're really not going to get that playing Halo
Yeah.
5 the way you would reading the book. It's almost like Halo 5 is not
Which
a very
is
well thought out
why
game.
I think Master Chief versus Solid Snake would be a really cool fight, because not only could you have obviously
It's
Cortana and
Otacon
Otacon,
Katana,
you
right?
yeah, you could have the rest of like the UNSC like people speaking over the intercom. You could have the rest of like Foxhound speaking over the intercom. Uh, like because going through any Halo level, you're going to have people talking in your ear constantly, and obviously the codec calls are one of the most iconic parts of Metal Gear. Where it's like I think them having sort of a commentary over the less talkative characters like Chief and Snake, with occasional breaks for them to have like one or two back and forths, would be pretty cool.
Holy shit, Snake! Is that the Master Chief? The Master Chief. That's exactly how it would go.
Otacon, what the fuck is he wearing? I don't know. It looks like a power armor from one of my '90s Marvel comics.
You know that the first thing Snake's saying in response to that is, power armor. He's got to repeat what was just said to him.
Yeah, power armor. You
I
don't
could've-
say.
I could have fucking told you that. And I'm going to solidly say, flat out incorrect. I think that both primary versions of Doomguy would win with different levels of being portrayed as unstoppable between them. But I do think in a crossover that Chief would survive either way. He would luck out, and also through his like sheer survivability in general, he'll probably get hit with the fucking crucible and come out alive somehow. That's what Chief would manage to do. He'll get impaled through the stomach with that thing, and before Doomslayer can tear it up and kill Chief off, he's gonna fall off a cliff, slide off the blade, and just fall like a kilometer down, hit the ground, and just keep living. That's what'll happen.
Yeah.
He'll fall deep into the pits.
Cortana, I'm done with this fight. Activate Blanky mode.
In fact, he'll fall. He'll be in hell. He'll land. And the next time we see him, a bunch of demons will be around him. And he'll find that he landed right next to where his energy sword ended up after Doomslayer smacked it out of his hand. Just landed right near him. And then he's going to use that.
Surrounded by demons, gotta fight through them, and then it just says continue the fight.
Yeah. It'd be sick. I know that's how it would go.
Yeah, which is insane, because, like, people bring up the feat a lot of Master Chief surviving a fall from orbit. It's like, that is impressive at all. In Halo Reach, Noble Six survives the same fall from orbit. And then, while limping, after losing another member of his team, or I think that might be the first time he does. I think that might be the first person you lose. He immediately has to pick up a gun and keep fighting his way through an entire army to the other side of a city after just falling on his face from orbit, and is immediately bombarded by suicide grunts with plasma grenades.
Yeah. Eggman Wily.
Probably Eggman, just because, like, most of Wily's shit just wasn't anything, really.
I'm gonna say
it was mostly just him either gaslighting people, because it's like, obviously Eggman's schemes never work in the long run, but it's like, a lot of the robots that he's made, or a lot of the schemes he's pulled off, have some sort of lasting effects. Like, Metal Sonic's still around. It's like, I mean, for that matter, Base was too by the end of the classic set, as far as we know. I don't know if he's in 11. And it's like, you've got Zero later on, but it's like...
We're not giving him Zero. That's not fair. Wily...
Eggman doesn't need to wait post-mortem for his plans to actually have any kind of actual effect.
If we include Zero, Zero outright wins at the same time Wily begins having already lost. Because he's fucking dead.
Yeah.
I think it's incorrect because I don't think Metal Sonic would just win that way.
I'd argue Base would even beat Metal Sonic, really.
Yeah, Base, like, he is the guy. But I think that, Eggman has Sage now, so... I think
because it's like, for everything you can say about Metal Sonic being made to be Sonic's equal, it is irrefutable Sonic has long since surpassed him and pretty much left him in the past. When's the last time Metal Sonic was an actual relevant threat to Sonic Heroes? Yeah, it's like, even then, he had to go through a lot of planning and a lot of just transformations to keep that up.
Technically it's Sonic 4, but that takes place before Heroes.
Yeah. And then Base is, for all intents and purposes, pretty much Mega Man's equal. They're on equal footing in the games you can play as both of them. And, he broke away from having to be Mega Man, but better. He's like, fuck it, I'm Base and I'm the coolest by my own merit. I don't need to prove myself to Mega Man, he's a bitch.
Yeah. I think it's incorrect. I don't think Metal Sonic would win. I think Eggman would win, but Metal Sonic would die in the process, and Eggman would just hack Base and turn Base against Wily.
It's like, oh my god, is that a gigantic kaiju Metal Sonic turned against me by my own by your Robo-Enza virus? Is he gonna kill us both? That's what you thought. All systems, full power! And he pulls out his new Death Egg robot and just fucking demolishes it.
Hell, screw the robot! Just pull out the Death Egg itself! End of story! Bye-bye!
Yeah, pull out the... just fucking nuke him. It's like, all systems, full power! Get a load of this! And he just vaporizes Metal Sonic with a moonbeam.
Basically. I'm trying to think, No. I was
Eggman
thinking,
when Metal Sonic gets turned against him with Robo-Enza. No way! I don't believe this!
I don't believe in Robo-Enza. I was thinking, does Wily have access to Sunstar? But I'm pretty sure Sunstar is his own thing.
He is. Sunstar is his own thing.
Like, cause Sunstar is like, you could buy someone like Sunstar or like Duo taking the Death Egg in a fight somehow.
Sunstar's an alien.
Wily less so. Zelda versus Peach. This is a tough one because the thing is that Zelda is portrayed generally more consistently as a competent, like, mage stuff and shit, But at the same time, Peach is the one that actively like barrels through entire armies of things and just wins. And Zelda's the one who
Yeah.
loses a fight the moment an enemy looks at her funny.
See, the thing is, Zelda's been portrayed as competent on par with the others more frequently, I guess I would say, where it's like, her helping out in Ocarina of Time, Ghost Zelda in Spirit Tracks, Tetra, Sheik, Zelda in, excuse me, in, like, Hyrule Warriors, in Breath of the Wild and stuff, where it's like, her actually playing a part and stuff, but then, obviously Mario 2 doesn't count, that's a dream, not canon. But then you look at 3D World, you look at New Super Mario Bros. You look at Super Mario Wonder. You look at Super Princess Peach, where she beats Bowser on her own. You look at Princess Peach.
Two games that are just about Princess Peach kicking everyone's ass.
You look at Princess Peach Showtime, where she's got this myriad of new forms with new powers, and she's taking on stuff by herself, which, to be fair, Zelda does have 2 games of her own where she's a starring role. They just both happen to be CDI games
and entirely non-canon.
Absolutely abysmal. That's what they want you to think.
I will say the CDI Zelda probably scales above CDI Link. That's really amusing. The only Zelda that is more powerful than her equivalent Link. Actually, no. In the cartoon, Zelda is more powerful, but that is entirely dependent on the Triforce. Because she actually has access to the full Triforce. She can shoot you across the universe in that show, in Captain N. Link would die to that.
Because obviously there's Wand of Gamelon, but then there's also fucking Zelda's Quest, I think it's called. Which is what a boring game. What a it doesn't even have funny cutscenes. The cutscenes are just fucking boring and nothing.
I think Peach generally would just win because she is portrayed as the kind of can-do solo, take on army on her own character when she needs to be. Zelda's never gotten that rep, with the exception, really the one Zelda I think would probably fight is Hyrule Warriors, because, I mean, you've seen the kill count you can get in that game.
Mm-hmm.
I think Hyrule Warriors Zelda would probably win, just because she is.
I personally like the interpretation of like what Bowser, Mario, and Peach have going on as them just like fucking doing a routine where like this is all just for fun. It's whatever.
Yeah, I think this one is correct. I can't see almost any version of Zelda standing up to even fucking RPG Peach and coming out ahead. Let alone straight into like Showtime and Super Princess with the vibrator and the new stuff.
She's fucking in Super Paper Mario and Mario RPG, isn't she?
Yeah, I just think Peach should be winning this. Thor versus Raiden.
Anyway, next one.
Link versus Cloud.
I feel like if you know the first thing there is to know about Mortal Kombat, there's nothing that needs to be said here.
The first thing there is to know about Thor. Link versus Cloud. This one's an interesting one. Because, obviously, composite Link, that's not a thing. That doesn't exist. It's not real. You have to look at the other Links. Which one of them could go up against a fucking Advent Children Cloud, and come out ahead?
Yeah, or it's like, I think, both of them are just as... Link definitely is more of a solo act, and he definitely is more of, like, the prophesized hero with, like, the Triforce of Courage and, like, being chosen by the goddesses or whatever. But the scale of the stuff Cloud is doing is, like, saving the entire planet from destruction. And, like, he is more dependent on, like, his teammates, where it's like, I guess narratively Link might win. Maybe. Like, if you're looking at the actual scale of stuff, probably Cloud. But if you're looking at, like, the narrative of stuff where it's like, Link was chosen as a divine protector.
To be fair, Cloud being less of a solo act by Advent Children, he did take on Sephiroth solo and win. And when he fought against Bahamut Sin, the only help he got was just help to reach the guy The actual killing blow was all Cloud, all in his own.
Mm. But then you look at pretty much every incarnation of Link across more than 30 games, he is his own hero.
Mm. There is also the point we do have to consider that the one official crossover they have, Cloud is stronger than the guy who one-shot Galim.
That is true.
So in the one official crossover they have, Cloud just outright would win. Like against all three Links combined, even he would just win.
What do you mean all three Links?
That are in Smash.
Oh, okay.
Like if Young Link, Wild Link, and Toon Link came together in Smash to take on Cloud, based on that trailer, Cloud would just fucking win. Just outright. He would just smack them up.
Yep.
And that's a big point in Cloud's favor. I'm trying to think outside of that if they were ever cross. I guess the crossover would be a game, and there'd be two boss fights, one with each, and in both ones you would play the winning guy, and they'd both get one win on each other. That is probably how it would go.
The real way to look at this is how narratively important are they to Soul Calibur 2 and Air Guys?
How important is Cloud to Kingdom Hearts, actually? Technically, like, that is Cloud at his oldest.
Not that important, as far as I'm aware.
Unlike Link to Soul Calibur.
Well, he's Link.
He is Link.
I feel like Link is pretty important because it's like an instance of Nintendo actually sharing their shit with a fucking
they also
third party.
Only on our console, so
yeah.
They, one side got Link, one side got Heihachi, and one side got Spawn.
Spawn.
Famous Xbox
and
exclusive
and
characters.
Necro was there. The goated Necro, come on.
Yeah, everyone's favorite Necro, the guy so irrelevant that no one even knows who he is anymore.
He's Necro, come on.
Yeah, he is.
Todd McFarlane's greatest character. Right up there with Haunt.
Okay. Link Cloud, I think, is one that's pretty hard to actually determine, I think, because more than like almost any other video game character, I think it's just going to be a case of who you're playing as, because it would be a crossover game, and I think both would win at different points.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
it's a fair assessment.
I think Link Cloud I'm going to put both incorrect just for that reason. Mm-hmm. Batman versus Spider-Man.
I feel like this is the point where Marvel DC discussions start becoming a little more difficult.
Yeah, at round 2.
I mean, specifically when you get to a discussion like
Batman Spider-Man.
Like, this is the type of discussion where it gets difficult because it's like, narratively, they'd stop fighting and fucking team up or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, if we are assuming that this fight has to go until there is a victor, it really comes down to, do you think they're going to have Spider-Man win because Spider-Sense, or do you think they're going to have Batman win because he has some sort of fucking anti-Spider-Man device?
Here's the thing. I think people underestimate... I think that Batman would win, not because he should, but because the author is going to give him preparation time and forget that Peter is also really good with it. Like, that Peter also is really good with using his time.
Like, Peter's at least in the fucking top 20 smartest people on Earth in Marvel.
I think that the author of this crossover most likely would just forget that Peter can do that. And I think, at the same time, they're going to forget this ridiculous shit Batman's got. But, like, you're not going to see Batman whipping out the Hellbat or the final Batsuit or anything crazy.
What if he fucking did? What if he put on the Hellbat just to fight Spider-Man, and Spider-Man's like, Jesus Christ?
It's just like, okay, I give in. Like, don't do this to yourself, buddy. This is not worth
Come on, Bats, we don't have to do this. Bust this. Just beats the shit out of him.
The winner is Batman. A phrase that has only been said once on Death Battle.
Yeah, and it was in a literal filler episode.
Yeah. I would generally side that Batman would be given the edge, and also a better chance of winning. Um, just because of the way Batman is often treated in stories, because like Spider-Man is like proper butt monkey these days. Like
Yeah.
he is abused. I think Batman. This is gonna go incorrect because they will give Batman all the prep time, and they will treat Spider-Man like shit because that is
Yeah.
Spider-Man's
Because
lot
it's
in
like,
life.
while plenty of both of their stories do focus on like how hellish it is to be Batman or Spider-Man, look at the general public perception of them, where people in like Batman crossovers are like, "Oh my God, it's Batman, the world's greatest detective! I can't believe I get to meet you, Batman." Meanwhile, people meet Spider-Man in crossovers, they're like, "Damn, bitch, you live like this? This is your day to day?"
Yeah,
Where it's
like
like you've got all of the media against you. You got it fucking rough, dude.
yeah. Pikachu versus Blanca.
Probably Pikachu. I don't think there's
This
much of
is
a
fucking
debate to be
Ash's.
had.
This is literally Ash, basically. This is Ash versus Blanca, not Pikachu. Pikachu's not going to be soloing Blanca. He's going to have Ash with him, and Ash is going to win because who the fuck do people think Blanca is in the lore of Street Fighter? He is not Ryu, all right? He's not even Ken. He's not even Chun Li. He's not even Guile. Fuck,
That's
he's
correct.
barely.
All of those characters are not Blanca.
I don't even think he's Dolzim. He's just Blanca. He's like out there. He's like bottom rung. He's not important.
I will say this in Blanca's favor: he is the creator's favorite character. Meanwhile, Pikachu is not Satoshi Tajiri's favorite Pokemon.
What is? I forget.
Poliwhirl.
Yeah, that fits. That said, I mean, Pikachu would still win. Like, look, if Pikachu's gonna go out here being treated as a guy who can make God go, ow, what the fuck is Blanca gonna do?
He's gonna grab God and start biting him in the head.
I mean, yeah, honestly, Arceus kind of sucks, so like, I'm okay with that. I just gotta say incorrect. Goku vs Superman. No one's gonna like this one. No, this is where we're gonna get people attacking us, no matter what we say here.
I think the funniest part about the Arceus movie is how much it makes Heatran just look even less like a legendary than he did somehow.
Yeah, I know. They made Heatran a background character, but they'll give Volcanion his own movie. Volcanion. Everyone's favorite, you know? You look at the
Tell
list
you what,
of,
though.
let's take a look. Let's look at the Pokemon that got their own movies. You got Mewtwo, you got Lugia, you got Entei, you got Celebi, you got Volcanion.
Yeah, Lucario got his own movie.
I mean, yeah, but like Lucario, that was his debut too.
Zoroark got his own movie.
She in that movie. Zoroark's a woman.
Oh yeah, because it's Zoro's mom. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's like Zoroark has done fuck all since then.
That's
They completely gave up on trying to market
It is
Zoroark.
weird how like Zoroark. I'll be honest. When I saw like Hisuian Zoroark, my first thought was that's a cool new Pokemon. I really like that one. I just completely blanked that an original Zoroark existed.
The amount of times I've tried to just in my free time like do the like every Pokemon quiz or like every Pokemon of specific generation quizzes. Every time I come to Gen 5, Zoro and Zoroark are towards the last ones I name. Where it's like they're cool designs. I like them, but they just gave up on them so hard.
My biggest memory with
Where it's like
Zoroark is when I was playing Scarlet Violet, and you fight the history teacher. I forget her name, and I went and smacked her Gengar with something, and it said not very effective, and I went, "That's a Zoroark, isn't it?" And then yeah, sure enough, that was a Zoroark. That's the most memory I have of Zoroark. The first time it ever actually got me with its ability, and then
Ryfert, I think the history teacher's name is
yeah,
something like
Ryfert.
that.
And then every other time, I just kind of wiped out the Zoroark Gengar with like a fighting type move, which is really funny to see that hit a Gengar without using like what's it called, Foresight.
Yeah, Foresight, Miracle Eye, whatever. Or no,
Very
Miracle Eye
amusing.
is Psychic for Dark.
Yeah.
I fucking hate it because it's like, oh, if you do her little quest, she'll put the markers on the map for where the ruined Pokemon are. I'm like, oh, cool, that'll be useful. So like, here's 4 vague indicators for where they might be. I'm like, fucking work with me a little bit. Come on.
I like how the implication that she is like some sort of fucking actual criminal, and they just never address that.
Yeah. Well, one of your best friends in the story is an actual criminal and fucking embezzling money from the government.
Yeah, but like, the government is Gita, so
And Gita shows up and is like, "That's pretty cool. You want to learn how to do shit for good instead of being evil in your dorm here, you little freak."
what's funny is that she's probably still embezzling money and Gita's just not caught on.
I think the funniest thing is when Gita shows up and is like, "Hey, you just became a champion, right? You want to go do my job for me? I don't feel like it."
Yeah, Gita's just a terrible person.
Gita's just like
She is
fucking.
an actual
She's
taint huffer.
not. Yeah, not only is she a fucking terrible battler, despite all of her talk about being unable to hold back, not only is her team composition fucking doo-doo dog ass, which, to be fair, the DLC, like, rematch team or whatever is a little better. Uh, but then her actual job as, like, the champion of champions, essentially, like, the president of this nation, is, like, going around assessing all the gym leaders, and she's like, hey, a random 12-year-old, you go do it. I don't feel like it.
I I love in the DLC. She gives you the indigo disc and she's like, I've gone down there a few times. I just have no idea what to do with this. You get down there and the place you got to put it into just shouts, "Please insert indigo disc." So the implication is that Gita went down there. She heard that and she went, "Oh fuck, what do I do now? I just don't get it. I just don't understand. I'm blanking. I've gotten this far. I don't know what to
She
do."
was too busy looking at glamoras on the wall and being like, that needs to be on my team. This is what
Mm,
I need to add.
that is a solid 6 slot Pokemon. That is.
Yeah, that feels like, you know what? This thing that sets up hazards, that should be my ace. I'm gonna send that out last.
She's running around going, "Oh man, Fluttermane, that's cool. I'm going to use Brute Bonnet. I think that's what I'm going to use. That's what Gita would do." She's going to look at Fluttermane and go, "Brute Bonnet time."
Not even. She's gonna be down there with all these Paradox Pokemon. She's gonna go, ooh, Venomoth.
No, she's going to go catch a Screamtail and then throw out a regular Jigglypuff thinking it's the same thing. That's what Gita does.
I
My
love too that
Screamtail
she's
got
like,
small.
oh,
That's fun.
you were stealing money from the government. That's pretty cool. Want to work for the government and get easier access to doing that? It's like
You,
what is actually wrong with
you
you?
could punch her in the face, mug her on the street, and she's going to ask you if you want a job.
She's like, we could put those talents to use. It's like, I'm not gonna fucking work for you, you goon.
Chances are, before you even beat her up, you've already taken out her team as well. That's likely what's going to have happened.
Scarlet and Violet DLC, my beloved. Hey, we gotta lie to Kieran. We gotta make sure we don't tell Kieran. Are you in on it? I don't really want to be, but you're not giving me the option to decline. So
I
I,
did not want to lie to the guy.
yeah, where it's like you're not given the option, and then he's like, I can't believe you guys. I'm gonna go on my villain arc, and it's like, I don't know. It feels like you're supposed to feel kind of bad about doing it, but I genuinely just watched it happen. It's like a huge disconnect between you and the character you're playing as because you're given no agency over ruining this kid's life.
Yeah, like I
I
did.
love
I
too that
can't.
you drive him to the brink of insanity so much that the instant another legendary starts to look at you and run away from him again, he's like, "Fuck it, Master Ball. I am not doing this shit again.
And then
I'm
it still
sick and
doesn't
tired of
work.
this."
It doesn't work anyway. And then the first thing Terapagos does, oh, sorry, Turtle. I legally have to only call it Turtle. The first thing Turtle does is just attack him. Like it goes straight for him. And then
Yeah,
the only
he
time
sends it out. He's like,
Koraidon
"Oh, I guess I'll try to terrestrialize it," and then it tries to murder everyone.
And then the only time Koraidon even shows up in the DLC, or Miraidon if you're playing Violet, is to protect him. And he never thinks like, is that another legendary you've just got that you've not told me? Bro! That's what he should have said. That's his first reaction should have been, you had another one this whole time. So Ogapon was your second of these fuckers? Mate!
Yeah, I hate too that like the big resolution to all of this when you get out just before you do the fucking Peach post like epilogue or whatever. Uh, he's like, "Oh yeah, I guess I'll apologize and I'll work towards being able to be your friend again. I guess I really fucked things up." It's like, well, first of all, yeah, but that wasn't entirely your fault because this fucking insane, irresponsible basket case of a teacher sent us down there and then pissed off an eldritch deity slumbering in a rock. Second of all, like literally nothing that happened to Kieran was his fault. I don't think he was in the wrong for a
No,
single thing that happened throughout that DLC.
no, he just gets shat on the whole time.
Anyway, next matchup.
I was gonna say the first thing that I would have said if I was the player character then is this is entirely Carmine's fault. This is entirely her fault. Why are you talking to me for? What are you
Oh,
apologizing for?
absolutely. Yeah, and then it's like you think she's gonna like get anything like okay, so after this, are we gonna see like an apology from her? Or are we gonna see her like? Because it even points out that like she's like, oh, he's acting like such a jerk. He's like going around being all big even though he's not. I'm like, that's exactly what you're. I hope they call attention to this that he's just acting like Carmine right now, and then they don't, and then she doesn't apologize, and then it's like, okay, well maybe the fucking Peach epilogue will give us something. It's like, nah,
Nah,
she
she's
does
not
a
even
chicken
in it really.
dance instead. Yeah, she's barely there.
Which is funny. I was more excited to see Carmine's interactions with the main cast more than Kieran's, because she's got more of a personality. As much as it's not the most pleasant one, I think she would have the more fun interactions with them because she is just an
Yeah.
asshole. But no, she's just out here dancing.
I do like that Nimona immediately goes to battle Kieran and is like, "Damn, you're pretty strong." Where it's like, I think not only that Kieran needs that boost in confidence, but also he just needs other friends. He needs other people in his life than his sister.
I like that Kieran does admit that he actually had a really fun time, even though he lost. Like that, that shows some development in his character. That's great.
I'm like, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There is a in the post story stuff. If you go to the club room and talk to people, there's a possible dialogue where Amaris is like, "I've been noticing something when I talk to Kieran," and you're like, "What is something wrong with him? Is he bugging out again?" And she's like, "No, it's involving me, and I was wondering if you think it's a medical issue or something. Where whenever I talk to him, my heart beats faster." And I'm like, so you have a crush on him? Is that what this is? It's like okay. It's like well, not only well, there's Amaris and Kieran. There's Crispin and Lacey, which is set up. There's Penny makes a comment towards Carmine, and Carmine is loving having her ego fed like that. Uh, I think Atticus makes a few comments towards Aerie, where it's like, obviously at this point when they're teenagers, it makes sense that there'd be all this. What would be even cooler is if we got to explore literally any of it, if we got any more interaction with these characters.
Yeah, it would be nice with the epilogue if it was like an epilogue and not just its own completely unrelated story that has the most thin of connecting tissue that's never even mentioned in the story itself to what's going
If
on
if
otherwise.
it wasn't just 5 battles and a chicken dance.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Would have been great if Koraidon and Miraidon did anything in the DLC, to be honest. They're only like the main fucking companion character across the fucking base game, They could do
Yeah,
something.
where it's
That'd be
like
cool.
there's so much to like about Scarlet and Violet. Where it's like I genuinely really like these characters. They're some of my favorite of Pokemon history. I really like some of the concepts presented in this game, but like just give me a little bit more out of it. Put it in the oven a little bit longer.
Actually put it in the oven. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Because it
Don't
feels
just
like,
let it sit there and thaw. That's not cooking.
yeah, they went to cook it. All they did was they grabbed the Zippo lighter, they hovered it over it for like 10 minutes, and it's like, yeah, I'll do.
Also, fucking Snacksworth, the absolute insane person that he is, where he's like,
Yeah, he is
"Yeah,
not
one
real.
time I was running up the side of a mountain in the middle of the desert in Spain, and I saw this Japanese guardian temple bird." It's like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. He's like, "Yeah, huh, I did. And as a matter of fact, I have its favorite food right here. Here you go." And then you're like, "Okay, this is not gonna work." So you go, and then there it is,
It just
sitting under
works.
a tree next to a waterfall out in the middle of fucking nowhere. Of course, there it is. There's Ho.
Yep, just how it is. I think it would be...
It makes me think of the fucking JonTron clip where they're talking about like Yanni Janssen, like this old farmhand.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is this? What is this image? An elephant? Where did you see an elephant in 1600s
Yeah.
America?
I like the idea that someone would say in 1600s America during the 1600s.
It's like where did you see an elephant? Yeah, it's like where did you see Entei? Why would you see Entei?
I want
How
to.
did he get from Japan to Spain?
They should, without announcing it, just drop an extra bit with Enamorus, where he's like, I was walking around Hisui one day and I came across this thing called an Amorous, and then I followed it all the way here, and just never have anyone go, what's Hisui? Huh? And just leave it at that.
Like, yeah, what?
Just he just straight up says he was there on, like, fucking hundreds of years ago. Followed it all the way
I was
here.
going on a casual jog through time.
I was paying my
Yeah,
buddy
the craziest part is
Dialga.
him telling stories about how it was like, oh yeah, I just saw Kyogre hanging out in the middle of this pond. I decided to have a swimming race with it. Of course, I almost won, but it's like, what do you mean you almost won?
What do you mean you saw Kyogre in a pond? In a pond?
And sure enough, you show up, there he is.
Just there?
It's like, I guess I have no reason to not believe you. It's like, you're telling me you almost beat a Raikou in a race up a mountain? It's like, who are you? I think the funniest theory is that
He's
he
Arceus.
is a vessel of Arceus of some
Yeah.
kind, especially because for some reason, when you play the fucking unknown music near him, he just
Yeah.
stops smiling.
It's the only time, too. He never stops smiling for anything else.
Where it's like, this is just God playing a prank on you.
It
That's what this is.
completely in character with how Arceus is in Legends Arceus as well. Like,
Fucking gives you a cell phone, isekais you into the past. Hey, go fucking. You see that guy? He's got too many rectangles. Go kill him.
I want to picture the story for Legends ZA is Zygarde goes to Arceus and goes, "Can I do something like important in the future?" And Arceus is like, all right, future, no, past. Here's a phone based on you. I got a great idea what you should do, okay? And then that's how we get to the story.
Yeah, fucking imagine you're getting isekai'd again, and then you get a fucking Zygarde phone, and he's like, I need you to collect all the things. Collect all the Zygarde cells and reassemble me.
So, why do you need to be reassembled? If you can do this, why do you need to be assembled for? Shut up.
Shut up. Go do it.
I didn't ask your opinion, kid. I'm Zygarde.
I will send a small vestige of myself that will live inside of your hat. That means you cannot take off your hat because this is a gameplay feature. And so you just have like the little one-cell Zygarde living inside your hat.
How funny would it be? You can take off your hat, you just will have the Zygarde cell on your head the whole time if you do.
Yeah, and there's no dialogue either where it's like you just go up to someone and talk to them and they're talking like there isn't a fucking like booger on top of your head staring directly at them.
You talk to them, not a single character goes,
No single person's like, hey, what's that, what you got there?
do you need a shower? You need, like, wash your hair, mate? I feel like...
Is that a bug? What is that?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I don't know. I think Gaia put a fucking hawked a loogie on my head or something. I don't know.
You have to talk to them, and, like, after they're done with the conversation, they go, that's not contagious, is it? And you go, what's not contagious?
It's like a fucking. I wish it was. I don't want to deal with this.
I want this thing. I want to go do some French things, not go around collecting cells.
What's the next matchup?
Goku vs Superman.
Holy shit! Superman probably.
Yeah, I wasn't just gonna outright say it. I do think in a crossover, Superman would win, and Goku would just have had a blast during that. He'd be real happy.
Yeah.
And he'd like go, want to go again sometime? Basically, what Goku Superman 3 did, to be honest, just without Goku
Yeah,
dying.
it's not at all unheard of for Goku to lose in a crossover. That said, not at all unheard of for Superman either. In fact, just recently, Godzilla fucking annihilated him.
Yeah, he got back up though.
Fucking Superman being like, what is that? Is that Godzilla? And then just getting annihilated. He just gets back up. He's like, what the fuck just hit me?
Yeah, I think the author explained it, like, because he couldn't explain it at the time because it was like a plot point, was that Godzilla's like specific radiation was really bad, like a weakness to Superman. It was like the same sort of wavelength that hits him the same way kryptonite affects him. That was the explanation, something like that.
He's like, what the hell did that dinosaur have? What did he just shoot me with?
He just hit me with the cancer beam? Is that the cancer beam, bro?
Harley Quinn, you gave me cancer?
So I think, I think this is correct. I do think Superman will win, and I think people would get really upset and ignore the part where afterwards Goku, who's not going to be dead, is going to go, that was a great time. That was a lot less embarrassing than when fucking Enel kicked my ass. Or is it Enel? How is it pronounced? Tell
Yeah,
me,
it's
Mr.
NL.
One Piece. Okay. When Enel kicked his ass in, what was it, Kyukai Panic 2? Something like that.
Yeah,
The fact
because
it
in
takes
Japanese
Goku
it's
takes Goku
it
and Luffy
in
together.
Japanese it's Eneru, so it's the same emphasis on each consonant or on each syllable. So Eneru would just be NL.
Yeah, like it took Luffy and Goku together to beat Enel in that. Like what? And then in the crossover with Toriko and Luffy, like they just draw, which I can believe with Toriko because he is cosmic. Luffy, Luffy,
Yeah, Toriko's pretty fucking strong, but
Monkey D.
I don't
Luffy.
know.
I mean, do you think Toriko, like in a versus sense, should have won that fight considering it was like Z era manga Goku?
Um, it depends because I think manga Toriko only gets up to like large star solar
Okay, yeah, well,
system somewhere in that
Goku was
range.
fucking
I think it's
slapped.
anime Toriko that gets to like universal.
Right, then you would use obviously anime Goku, so yeah. Alright. He-Man versus Lion-O. We already fucking know. We already fucking know what would happen.
Oh yeah, in the comics where fucking He-Man's getting mind controlled, he's swinging on Lino. He's like, "Stop! I don't want to die."
Yeah, like Lion-O's openly like, oh shit. This is bad.
Come to your senses, He-Man. You're going to fucking destroy me,
Yeah.
please.
Shao Kahn versus M Bison. M Bison's winning. I'm just gonna be honest. Shao Kahn loses fucking every fight. M Bison M Bison took out Nakalu, who was like the whole big deal main new villain of his game. He was the chronicler of that game, and M Bison just folded him.
I feel like that's being a little generous to Nikali.
Well, that's what he was marketed as. It's not what he actually was, but it was marketed as.
Yeah, this is coming from someone who actively does like Nikali's design and concept a lot, and actively
Oh,
fucking hates Kronika.
no, no. That's generally how most people feel. They like Nakali's design and concept, and they don't like Chronica. Um, just Nakali was marketed as the big thing. He is the new big villain. He is the boy. He's him.
Yeah,
Ah,
but it's
he'd
like
win. Then he
say
loses.
what you will about the games and their quality, but like Kronika at least fucking did shit in the story. She was an active player.
To be fair, she did also sabotage her own giant. She also was responsible for her own losing. The thing with me with Nakali is losing to Ryu and M Bison. There's no shame in that. Losing to Dalzim.
Well, yeah.
Like, to an extent, I understand that Shao Kahn is portrayed as if he was that guy, in a way unlike Bison, who gets folded by Akuma. At the same time, there is a reason, understandably, that people outside of the Verse community thought that Akuma would absolutely fucking maul Shao Kahn. There is a very good reason that was the consensus outside of the Verse community. And it's not just
I
because
stand by
Akuma
that
is the
Akuma
guy.
should have won because I don't like Shao Kahn and Akuma's really cool.
The thing is, it's not just because Akuma's unstoppable in his game. It's because Shao Kahn is very stoppable, easily stoppable, stoppable by Mortal Kombat 2 Kitana, who in a 2v1 against Sonya lost.
Right. I think it's really dumb that they gave Akuma Oni for versus Shao Kahn because Oni's completely non-canon.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
not relevant to the conversation, really.
I
I
agree
just felt like
because
pointing that out.
because I can't help but note that without Oni, Akuma wouldn't have that really fucking god awful transformation sequence, and wouldn't just spontaneously change into dad bod mode.
See, my thing with that is, first of all, don't use MK11 Shao Kahn because ew. Second of all, if you're gonna downgrade back to Street Fighter 4 models for Oni, just use Street Fighter 4 Akuma and then like MK9 Shao Kahn.
Yeah,
Both of those designs and models are completely fine.
yeah, they would fit with the kind of shitty looking background better too.
Where it's like, you know, models being a lower quality, completely fine if the fight itself actually goes kind of hard.
Remember
Uh,
Cole
but
versus
you know,
Alex? You know that no one's real complaint with that fight. No one intelligence complaint with that fight is that they use PS3 models.
how could they? These PS3 characters, they're monsters.
It's like if we were to get fucking like Doom guy versus Wolfenstein guy, and they did the fight in like a low poly sort of way, people would find a way to say that's terrible. Why would they ever
His name
harken to
is
that?
BJ Blazkowicz.
Yeah, but I know a guy named BJ, so it's awkward to call him that. Also, when I think of
Sorry to hear.
when I think of BJ, I either think of the person I know, or I think why'd they called you that? Who hated you to call you that?
Fucking, it makes me think of. I don't even remember the context where someone was like, I was trying to look up the yellow dinosaur from Barney the Dinosaur, and when I just did a handful of friendly advice. When you look up BJ, remember to put Barney the Dinosaur afterwards. Because it's Barney, Baby Bop, and BJ. BJ is the little fucking
Actually,
Triceratops.
I feel like putting Barney the Dinosaur afterwards is just putting you into the line of sight to get hit by something worse.
Yeah, I feel like Google's at the very least intelligent enough to know you probably mean the character BJ from
I
Barney the Dinosaur, considering he's one of like the other two dinosaurs.
I forget what it was, but I was searching up a character to get a render of them, and I was just really sad that Google decided to auto turn on safe search because I was thinking, why is that necessary? No, why? I
It
know
is
the
something I do
reason.
all the fucking time.
I know the reason why it's
Something I do
necessary, but bruh.
all the fucking time. Whenever I'm trying to look up an image of or look up like the wiki page for Crocodile from One Piece, I always forget to add One Piece, and so I always just end up looking up Crocodiles the animal.
At least safe search doesn't turn on.
Without fail, literally every single time, I'll be like, fucking, someone will be like, oh, how old is Crocodile? I'm like, oh, let me check. I'm like, Crocodile. I'm like, God damn it. Not the fucking reptile, the man.
Not that the man. Yeah, the man, the real guy. Paul Hogan, Crocodile Dundee
Yeah.
himself. All right, Shao Kahn and Bison. Incorrect. I know that they would have Shao Kahn put up a fight, but like consistently to how they're narratively portrayed, M Bison is portrayed as nigh unstoppable. There is a handful of characters who can take him on one, let alone beat him. Shao Kahn, fucking almost anyone in the cast can kick his ass at this point.
Yeah.
Ryu versus Strider.
Kitana did. She fucking cut him in the eyes and he just fell over and he's like, oh, wife, help me. Oh,
Wife.
oh, owie, owie, mommy, help me, mommy.
Ryu versus Strider. I do not know Strider well enough.
Um, so in both series, I'm pretty sure they both fought and defeated God.
Yes.
So they're of about equal importance in their series. Um, but Ryu's also important to Dead or Alive, apparently.
Yeah, he's the
So
canonical
I
winner
think
of the
perhaps
original DOA tournament.
I think perhaps the importance to two different franchises may win out.
Yeah, in which case, Ryu is literally the winner of the original Dead or Alive tournament. Strider is referenced in a guy who does show up in a Street Fighter game.
Yeah, these days he's more or less a Marvel vs. Capcom character because, well, I mean, the new Strider game didn't come out like that long ago. It was like what 2011,
I didn't even know
2012.
that existed, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, it's still like a 2D
I
platformer,
guess
but
I'm
it's
putting it incorrect.
3D. It's like 3D models. And instead of having his classic scarf, he has like a red fucking mechanical thing that goes around him
Oh
that
my
has like
god,
a laser scarf come out of it.
he's Command Mission X.
Yeah, with his yes, yeah, with a laser scarf.
That might actually be a genuine like
Which I think
reference,
is
and that would be
dumb because
sick. If it's a reference,
I
it becomes cool. Shut the fuck up.
yeah, I fucking love scarves on designs. I think just like fucking long flowing cloths on like capes or scarves or like like ascots or like long bandanas or whatever, always sick looking. And so to make it a laser is kind of blasphemous, honestly.
Right.
But you should check out that Strider game if you have the means available. It's
What's it
not
on?
bad.
What's it on?
I think it came out on PS3. I think it's on the PS3 and 4 store still.
Yeah, I can do that then. Ivy versus Orchid. Correct. Ivy is not a big player in Soul Calibur. Orchid, one of the big players of Killer Instinct generally.
Yeah,
So
typically.
I think she would kick Ivy's ass. Fox versus Bucky. Just gonna put that in don't know well enough because I'm just gonna say outright we do not know enough about Bucky to make a comment on this. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Terminator
I think
Robo.
if an official crossover were to happen, I think Star Fox would definitely take a little precedent over it. But at the same time, who fucking knows?
Yeah.
Bucky O'Hare might be insane. I will say, I have seen a more modern reference to Bucky than I have to Fox in terms of release date. I think because a comic store near me that shut down recently.
That's
There was a what are you fucking doing?
I don't know what you're talking
You
about.
croaking into my ear.
Ironic.
Uh,
I'm not
yeah,
anywhere
let's
near
croak
here.
some toads. But it was a Star Wars comic, like a children's comic, and I'm like, oh, I'll open up the first page, and then like on the back of the cover page was a bunch of like Star Wars little rabbit aliens, and then Bucky O'Hare. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, so this is released in the 2020s for children,
You
fans
just
of Star
loudly
Wars, no
said it.
less.
You just loudly said it in the middle of the store. Guys looking at you picking up the comic is like, yeah, that's Donovan. And then out of nowhere he just hears, what the fuck? My dog just
Yeah,
flicked straight at me. He just stared straight at me when he heard me say that. He was like, what? How's it going,
but
bro?
yeah, I was looking at it, I'm like, what? Who is this reference made for? Because what child is going to pick up this Star Wars comic
You.
in the 2020s and know who the hell
You.
Bucky O'Hare is?
You. It was made for you.
I'm
You
not a
got it.
child. I'm not a child.
Compared to me, you are, kid.
Shut the fuck up, bozo.
Terminator versus Robocop. Robocop won. In fact, in
Yeah.
most of the games, Robocop kind of just guns down Terminators en masse.
Yeah, and honestly, like,
It was only in Kill Human where
1v1,
Terminator won.
yeah, 1v1 the T-800 versus fucking RoboCop. You know, he's the hero. Of course he's gonna win.
Yeah. And if it's T2 Terminator, he would lose, but he would get John to safety. And he would do better. Luigi versus Tails.
Um,
Man.
it, see, if it were at the time of this death battle, before all the fucking Year of Luigi shit, probably Tails, just because they fucking loved shitting on Luigi. However, post Year of Luigi, he's got a lot of respect put on his name. I honestly think, uh, honestly, like, you know, Tails is still around. He's still like Sonic's best friend, but he's hardly ever relevant to like defeating the main threat
Yeah,
anymore. It
that's a
feels
good
like
point.
Luigi's way more relevant these days.
Yeah, I think Luigi would win that. That's a good point.
I think if
Vegeta,
it happened at the time, Tails might have won, but I think
he did.
these days. Well, I'm saying like if we're approaching this discussion
Vegeta versus
at
Mewtwo.
the time that this came out. Fucking
Okay, here's the thing. Mewtwo beat the
uh
protagonist, and Vegeta, he kind of did, but
Vegeta has never lost to Goku.
he's never lost to Goku, but like he's never completely dominated him outside of that one time, and that was a long time ago.
A long time ago, like in the superhero movie,
He didn't completely dominate Goku. I mean, like completely just
he did
mop.
win.
He won, but compared to when Mewtwo beat Journey's Ash, and the way he did it was he slapped Pikachu with one hit and Pikachu fucking died, and then he just stood there in one place while Lucario and Cinderace had a go at him, and then after they hit him once, he went, "All right, now my turn," and then he just took them both out in one hit. Comparatively, the only time Vegeta was that dominant against Goku was when he turned into a big monkey.
Even then, Goku shot a laser into his eye, and he's like, "Oh, fuck."
Yeah, even then he wasn't as dominant, but like that's the closest he got to dominating. Still, this is gonna
And
go
then
non-applicable.
Yajirobe came in and fucking cut his tail off because
Yeah, look, I'm just
Yajirobe's
gonna
that
say
guy.
Mewtwo can teleport, grab a very large butter knife, and do that too. So you're not special, Vegeta.
He's gonna do it with a spoon.
Yeah, he's gonna do it with a spoon. If he can cut a building with that spoon, it's sharp enough to cut a tail. All right, Pokemon Battle Royale. No, no. Now they would just have Charizard win.
Yeah, it would
Right.
just be Charizard.
Fulgor versus Sector. I mean, Fulgor's given like
Probably like Fulgor, like
slightly
because
more
who the
respect,
fuck
I'd
is
say.
Sector?
You know, Sector, the guy who was made unplayable in 11, despite the fact that he had a full moveset in there outside of a Fatal Blow and some extra embellishments.
Fulgor's only the mascot of the whole series.
Meanwhile, Sector, you know, he's the guy so irrelevant he didn't get a final fight. They just made him commit suicide. So that's correct.
You know what's that? Tiger Zord Epion?
There's 2 episodes before that. Godzilla vs. Gamera.
Uh,
I think it's well established from Crossover Kings that there is like a 95% chance that Godzilla's winning this one in a crossover.
Yeah. Well, that's just like Godzilla in any crossover, really. Where it's like if you put your money on Godzilla, chances are he's gonna win.
Batman vs. Captain America.
Probably Batman.
Yeah, I think Batman would win. They would give him. I can't think of anyone here that Batman would lose against potentially except Iron Man in an official crossover just because of the way Batman gets written. Actually, no. Tony's like backup plans always fail. So Tiger Sword versus Epion.
Yeah,
You can handle
Comic
this.
Drake had just put out a video about how every time Iron Man puts together a specific device to beat something, it never wins.
Yeah. Tiger Sword Epion, you can take this on, but I'm pretty sure Tiger Sword would win.
Honestly, once Zex gets into Epion's not like that big of a job or anything. It's just that the Tiger Zord being that it is the Zord, it's going to win pretty much every okay, so in all fairness, there are times, they're very rare, but there are times throughout the course of Mighty Morphin that some of the Zords, or even the Megazord, have lost. But I don't think the Tiger Zord ever did, and if it did, it was only like maybe once or twice.
a fight. To quote Death Battle.
Yeah.
The thing is that Epion
So,
is not win.
there's that, and then there's just the fact that the Tiger Zord directly one-to-one copies Tommy's movements, and Tommy is pretty irrefutably, in the Mighty Morphin era, the best fighter there is, villains and heroes included.
Yeah, I think this one just goes incorrect. I think that Tiger Zord, narratively, would spank Epion. Ryu vs. Scorpion.
Speaking of Tommy, also, have you kept up with the Godzilla Power Rangers
No,
crossover second run?
I only actually just found out that the second one dropped the first issue recently, I think.
Yeah, in the first issue, they've introduced the White Ranger now, but this White Ranger doesn't seem to be Tommy, which is interesting. Because at first I saw it, I'm like, oh, okay, so we're just following Tommy, and like Saba's here, and he's talking and stuff. But then he meets up with the Mighty Morphin Rangers and Tommy as the Green Ranger still, because this is right off the back of the first run. It's like, oh, okay, so who is this? Who is this Mighty Morphin White Ranger then?
It could still be Tommy, just in a different timeline. Remember that the end of the
Well,
first
we see this White Ranger's other Power Rangers. They don't look like the lineup that Tommy leads.
Yeah, but it could be.
So I think the setup is going to be that it's not Tommy, but it is someone who is the same Ranger from a different dimension.
I think there's a good chance it's just another world's Tommy, because consider that the last one ended with Rita spiraling through a bunch of different like timelines, like seeing all the different worlds. Like your boy GMK Godzilla showed up in it,
Mm-hmm.
but not your boy -1 Godzilla.
Oh, speaking of Godzilla, I got the book that collects all the issues of Godzilla meets Pirates.
Cool, bro.
Fuck it, hold on. Here There Be Dragons.
Alright, well, speaking of dragons, Ryu versus Scorpion. I think Ryu would win. I think this episode, narratively, is not it. I don't think Scorpion would win. I don't think Scorpion would even do that good, to be honest.
No, Scorpion kind of sucks.
Original timeline Scorpion would do pretty damn good, because by the end of it he was like a pretty big deal, as a solo act. But New Era and NetherRealm Era, and both Hanzo and Scorpion, they could all jump him at once and Ryu's winning that one. I think.
Yeah, probably.
Now, I mean, if Scorpion's gonna stand there, if Hanzo's gonna stand there, stare at Devora getting ready to stab him and do nothing, what's he gonna do when Ryu starts hitting? He just does a raw super. He'll just do a raw super. Scorpion's not gonna react to it.
Mm-hmm.
Deadpool Deathstroke. Oh my god.
Deadpool.
Yeah, I think Deadpool.
I really doubt Deadpool would lose. So in this Godzilla comic, the only kaiju that show up really of note are Godzilla, Ebirah, and the giant octopus, which makes sense because it's like fucking Francis Drake era piracy. However, some of the planned / scrapped alternate covers include. Well, first of all, it's kind of weird that Godzilla's here, but there have been other stories where he's just like not a radioactive like nuclear thing. Hedorah's on one of these alternate covers. What business does Hedorah have in Francis Drake era piracy?
I actually would really like to see how that would come about, because like Hedorah crashes into Earth, but there's not as much pollution. What would he turn into in this era of Earth?
Yeah, what would he be? What I think would be really cool is if he was like tales of like spirits lost at sea conglomerating into just a big glob of him just being like made of old shipwrecks into one big kaiju.
Yeah, like it would be interesting to see Hedorah in different time periods. They're not going to do that. They would just have Hedorah.
See, the thing is though, on this cover, that's just regular Hedorah. That's just what he looks
Hedorah,
like
yeah.
in Smog Monster movie. That's just him.
Wait, does he have the flaily like arm from Final Wars?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, well, let me see. Fucking hold on, let me look at him. We don't really get a good look at his arms. We just see him looking backwards at us with his fucking nasty,
Vagina
droopy
eyes.
face and his big red eye.
His pussy eyes.
Yeah.
His eye literally has
Big
an
nasty
STD.
motherfucker. You ugly Mothra fucker.
Mothra.
Oh, well, that's not as weird as the 2-page spread that has, characters that make sense, like Megalon makes sense. I could buy Baragon, Anguirus, Rodan, Mothra. I could even buy Ghidorah because he's extraterrestrial, but he's not, inherently against piracy era. Why is Gigan here?
Why not?
I don't know. The buzzsaw part of him, the laser goggles, like
I think aliens aren't
he
advanced
feels a
enough
little
to do
high
that
tech.
yet. I think it'd be worse if he showed up now. The aliens showed up with him now. That'd be a concern. Then that'd be a concern. Like he shows up
Could
and they're
be.
like, "What the fuck was all that metal shit on him? How'd that happen?" And just like, "Oh, that's Gigan. That's what Gigan do, bro."
They're like, "What the hell is that? Is that a bird?"
They figure it's a bird, and then they figure, what's all that iron sticking out of him?
What? He has big swords for hands. What is that?
Yeah, it's weird.
And then he gets up, he starts flying, and it's like, what is he flying with? He doesn't have wings. He's not gliding. What is that?
Well, he does have wings.
Well, yeah, but that wings.
In quotation marks, of course.
Yeah, heavy quotation marks. Wings.
Quotation marks so big you could use them to hold up a bridge.
He's got about as much wings as a fucking Stegosaurus has wings.
No, he's got more wing than that. Big fins on his back look more like wings than the fucking plates. Even proportionally, but...
You're a plate.
Well, that's racist. Calling me a fine china.
There's nothing fine about you.
Well, okay, asshole.
What's the next matchup?
Kirby Boo.
What were we on?
We were on Deadpool.
Okay.
Yeah. Kirby Boo. Yeah, Kirby.
Yeah, Kirby.
Kirby would win against fucking Beerus somehow.
take into consideration that this is what Kirby does every day.
Speaking of which, the next one is Ragnar versus Soul. Ragnar's not winning that. Soul is the guy who wins almost every
My
fight he's
friend,
in. Ragnar's the guy who loses almost every fight he's in.
there's also the fact that, as things currently stand, Soul Bad Guy still exists. So
Yeah, Ragnar is dead, more or less. That's a
yeah,
way to
he
put it.
well,
That's
he
a way
doesn't
to
even
put it.
exist anymore. You made
It's a
it so
way to
that he
put
never
it. It's a way
existed.
to put it. But the thing is, Ragnar is the most jobber of like the fighting game protagonists I know. He's the one that best fits into the category of jobber, compared to like Ryu, Liu
Yeah,
Kang, the protagonist of Killer Instinct, Siegfried. Unless you want to count Mario as the protagonist of Smash Brothers.
I think it's really funny that you've just fucking forbade yourself from ever saying Jago's name again.
Same with the protagonist of the Owl House, and the protagonist of Breaking Bad.
What, a Walter? What?
Gara versus Toph. Gara versus Toph. Gara versus Toph,
Gara, probably.
huh?
Like, Toph is strong and all. She's cool, but like, Gara is essentially the one-man army for an entire nation.
To be fair, Toph was also able to fight a guy who was the one-man army of his nation. So,
Yeah, but not Gara.
no, obviously, because he's not an Avatar character. But like,
Well,
Boomy basically does the same thing, just on like a smaller scale, because that's how Avatar works. And
Boomy was also like a fucking billion years old. Not a billion. He was like 104 or something.
can't wait for Boomy versus Master Roshi to take off.
Well, Master Roshi's like 300 years old.
Yes. I
Uh, I just don't think Top, like, in general, has ever needed to operate on the same scale, importance-wise, or just, like, battle-wise that Gara has had to operate on. Where it's like, there hasn't been an instance where, hey, there's a fucking thing falling from the sky that is going to wipe this entire battlefield, and we need you to fucking put up a blockade to stop it.
Yeah, I do think Gara would probably win. I don't think it would be an easy win though. I don't think they'd make it look like he just swamped her. Guts versus Nightmare. Yeah, Guts would win.
Yeah.
Like he's the
Because,
hero.
after all, this is what he does every day.
He wouldn't break Soul Edge
My
though. They wouldn't make him break Soul Edge. He would kill Nightmare and then leave. And Soul it would be like an ominous thing where Soul Edge like starts like someone would show up in like shadow, like in the distance and be like.
my friend asked me, he was like, "Oh, those Death Battle cast things. What other matchups have they done?" And I brought up Guts versus Kratos, and he's like, "Oh, I wonder who would win that one." He's like, "There's no fucking way." I'm like, "Have you considered though that this is what Guts does every day?" He's like, "That's true. I hadn't thought about that."
This is what Guts does every day. He gets killed by Kratos.
I think it's just a really funny retort to bring up to any Guts matchup where it's like, there's fucking a handful of matchups you could put Guts into with any amount of like basis to them where he's going to win. But just the argument of, well, nah, he fights people stronger than him and wins every day. Come
What
on.
matchups does he win? He's got a shot to beat Claire.
He's
Like
got a
that's
shot to beat Claire. He would beat I almost call him Vagabond. He would beat Musashi. Uh
that you already got your end there.
depending on the arsenal, I don't know how, because like I don't know how strong Ash himself is. I know a lot of his weaponry is pretty strong. I don't know how strong he himself is.
That's a stupid matchup though.
It is, but I get the basis for it, especially because Miura was partially inspired by Evil Dead. It's even in the manga when Guts first gets his metal arm, he goes, "Huh, metal arm, groovy." I'm like, he said the thing, he said the thing, which in turn made me think of Thanksgiving when he gets a chainsaw penis and he goes gravy.
Your favorite movie?
It's your favorite movie. You're a big fan of Thanksgiving.
That's not even an Australian holiday. I think we could totally do a ranking of Death Battle cast episodes, like the matchups and what we would want to see. That'd be cool to do.
Absolutely.
That
There's
said,
just
we're
fucking.
several hours in.
There's more of them than there are death battles.
We've not even gotten.
Well, no, because there's a lot of DB cast that didn't have community matchups. You quit being mean to me.
You know why I did that? We're like two odd hours in. We're not even like 2 seasons through. To be fair, this is the long season though. Iron Man, Lex Luthor. Tony would win. Tony's winning.
Yeah.
Beast.
Well,
Goliath.
okay, unless he makes a Luthor Buster, then he's
okay.
losing.
No. If Tony just comes across Luthor out of nowhere like he did in this episode, he's winning. If he planned ahead, he's gonna die.
He's like, I've made this specifically to counter what you have. He's like, goodbye.
No, you haven't. Just punches it and it just breaks. No, man, you haven't. Look.
It's like, what is this made? Did you make this out of aluminum? What is this?
Lex just sits down and goes, he just gets out of the suit. He's like, no, Anthony. Can I call you Anthony? Anthony, get out of that. We need to have a talk right now. Tony gets out. And Lex is like, what is this? This is meant to counter me.
What about this counters me? This is like your regular armor, but weaker. What did you even put in here that is specific to countering me? He's like, well, I put an L on it, but it's upside down. He's like, that's Waluigi, Tony.
Look, Anthony,
that's not going to beat me.
What convinced you to make a suit that was weaker to kryptonite than your normal one? What possessed you to do that? And Tony's like, you never would have seen it coming.
He's like, well, if you think about it, Superman beats you and he's weak to kryptonite. He's like, well, yeah, but he's Superman. You're not.
You can't prove that. You're trying to hurt my feelings now, Alexander. Can I call you Alexander? You're trying to hurt my feelings, Alexander. No, you can't call me Alexander. You just don't have permission to do that. I'm gonna get back into that suit now, and I'm gonna go back to LexCorp. I'll be back here in a day. And you can bring something else that time, okay? I'll give you this one, all right? Pisses off, comes back, and Tony comes back with an even worse suit to take him on.
I think it's funny that the typical powerhouse people go to when they're talking about Iron Man suits is the Hulkbuster. That thing never fucking wins.
No.
It only shows up to be like, oh shit, it's the Hulkbuster. That's the one that we know is strong because we were told it was strong, and then it fucking loses anyway.
Yeah. Hulkbuster's better than the Justice Buster, but I will give Batman the credit that the Justice Buster did its fucking job.
Yeah, the Justice Buster at least actually has like sensible countermeasures to people where it's like, oh, fucking put the miniature. Well, it's as sensible as putting a miniaturized red sun inside of something is. Or it's like fucking having foam to slow down the Flash, or
having foam that would only work if the Flash had his speed lowered the way it was by the Joker Venom. The only
to be fair, there is an entire villain who, in quite a handful of comics, has beaten the Flash by putting ice under where he's going to run and then making him slip.
No. Captain Cold has a passive barrier that makes the Flash slower around him. That's the explanation.
He didn't used to.
Well, no, it was retconned. He's always had it now.
No.
Yes. He's
or
Captain
you've got
Cold.
Gorilla Grodd, who is a gorilla with a very powerful brain.
To be fair, he is also very big. That is not a normal gorilla. We've had this talk last
Captain
video.
Boomerang has been able to tag the Flash.
He is Australian.
Really?
He can do it.
Fucking okay.
He's not some American, okay? He's not even English. He's Australian.
Yeah, he's Australian. He can just about get to the fucking beer fridge from the couch. He's already so fucking piss drunk.
No, that's how fast he is.
Let alone throw a boomerang straight enough to hit the Flash.
He's Australian. He's got that speed feat. Whenever people are partying with him, they notice he's got like 7 beers around. They're like, "When did you leave the couch?" He's like, "Well, just now." Cracks open a new beer that he's just got now. No explanation.
It's literally the death battle scene where it's like, want to see me down a whole beer? Want to see me do it again?
Yeah, Death Battle didn't make that fucking joke, mate.
No, they didn't. But well, it's a boomstick. It's topical. It's relevant to what we're discussing.
It's a boomstick. Yeah, that's very topical to Beast versus Goliath.
You know, I hope you fucking stub your toe.
Well, that's rude of you. I hope you fall off your chair, like very
Is
gently
Beast
and
Goliath
safely.
the next one?
Yeah, Beast Goliath. Goliath is the protagonist, and the Beast is not.
I have a message for Biff specifically if for some reason he's watching this deep into the video. Me when Goliath. He'll get it. You
You
don't
ever
need to
notice
get
that
it.
Goliath
He'll
is
get it.
literally the purple guy?
He is. He is purple. He's like a purplish gray, like a
Alright.
lavender.
Snake versus Sam. I'm pretty sure that Snake would win.
Yeah, because it's like, while both of them are masters of espionage, Snake is actually a super soldier.
Sam's not.
Yeah, well, because it's like, Sam is, if I'm not wrong, Sam is human.
Yeah, I think you're right. He doesn't appear to be a gerbil of any kind. He does look like a person.
Like, as far as I know, he's not genetically augmented the same way Snake is. He's not a clone of like a fucking
No.
of like
Of a genetic
Nick Fury,
jackhammer.
pretty much. He's not a clone of a man that fucking catches Metal Gears falling on him.
Yeah. He's he's not a clone of Captain America. Sam is just like he's a guy. He's stealth would be pretty even between them. If anything, Sam would have the advantage
Or
there.
like, comparatively, you put him against somebody, a fucking enormous Russian man in power armor, and he's not going to be able to punch a dent into it.
No, he could shoot a dent into it. Yeah, I think Snake wins. Darth Vader versus Doctor Doom.
Probably Doctor Doom, just because Doctor Doom. Well, because it's like,
because he's Doctor Doom.
yeah. Also, Doctor Doom's fucking owned body isn't constantly trying to kill him.
No, Doom does job a lot, but
Yeah, including that time that he owed Luke Cage
I
like
knew you were
50
gonna
bucks, so
bring that
Luke
up.
Cage
I
broke
knew you
into
were gonna bring
Latveria
that
and just beat the shit out of him.
I think generally, Vader is probably portrayed as more unstoppable. But I just think that like, what's Vader gonna do when Doom busts out fucking any of his equipment, aside from die?
What's Vader gonna do when Doom just goes go go gadget, stop breathing?
Yeah. What's he gonna do when Doom just like punches him really fucking hard in the face?
Assassin holding a gun to my head. Any last words? Yeah, just one sentence. Go go gadget, bulletproof skull.
You're not Thomas Wayne, bro. Donkey Kong versus Knuckles the Echidna.
Probably Donkey
See, the
Kong.
thing is,
I
Donkey
wanna
Kong is
say.
the protagonist of a whole series. Knuckles is the protagonist of a game and a show.
Yeah, not even a good game at that.
No, it's Knuckles Chaotix. I
Granted,
think yeah, that's
you know,
correct.
Donkey,
I think
Donkey
Donkey Kong
Kong's
would
got
win.
a handful of stinkers, but
Like you just look at the scale that like they're willing to put Donkey Kong as like gonna punch the moon sort of scale. Knuckles is never given that credit. Outside
yeah,
of
where it's
Sonic
like
X,
Donkey
when
Kong
he
is a
when he
worthy
gave it.
adversary to Mario. Knuckles is lucky to be in the same scene as Sonic these days.
Yeah. Wolverine versus Raiden. I mean, Wolverine is so often portrayed as just unkillable, and the fact that the whole Arctic Vibranium thing and adamantium is kind of just bullshit. I do think Wolverine would just come out on top here if they were to fight. I think Raiden would fucking mollywop him majority of the. It would kind of be like basically how the death battle went. Just Wolverine wins.
I would like to get your opinion on something because
Yep,
someone
you-
brought up to me in another server
You asked me a lot
the
of
other day.
questions.
They were like, am I crazy for thinking Wolverine would absolutely slaughter All Might in a fight? I'm like, it depends which Wolverine and which All Might. And he's like, we'll take 616 Wolverine versus Prime All Might. I'm like, so in terms of like consistently where Wolverine's at, like assuming he's comparable to other street tiers about, it wouldn't surprise me if All Might being as strong as he was in his prime could just knock him, just lay him the fuck out.
Oh, he would knock him out.
Kill him, probably not, I don't think he could get past adamantium. But he would absolutely lay him the fuck out. And then he's like, oh, well, no, he wouldn't, because Wolverine survived getting ripped in half by the Hulk. I'm like,
That's Ultimate
first of
Wolverine.
all, first of all, him being able to tussle with the Hulk every now and then, not very consistent. Also, that is not anywhere near the peak of the Hulk's power. Also, Hulk is just incredibly inconsistently written.
Also, that's not 616 Wolverine. Also, actually, you're wrong. Wolverine, consistently against the Hulk, is able to get his shit pushed in anytime Hulk actually lands a punch on him. Very consistently, Wolverine fights the Hulk, will dodge some punches, will get a good stab in, and then after one punch, he's just gone. Fight done. Wolverine, he's in Ohio now. This fight started in Canada. Yeah. Wolverine's in Ohio now. That's how that fight went.
And it's also, Wolverine's joints are inherently not coated in adamantium. They couldn't be, or he couldn't move them. So it is possible to dislocate his arm, even if you can't break the bones in it. It's also possible to, if he does what he did to that Nomu and just punches him into the sky, end up landing him into the ocean where he'll drown.
I think All Might would... Okay, in a fight to the death, All Might's victory is going to be hard to argue, because you need to argue that the environment's just going to go his way. In a fight not to the death, All Might wins, any time he doesn't just sit there. I mean, Wolverine is faster. So, if Wolverine went to go cut his head off, he could. It's just Wolverine doesn't do that. Wolverine likes to just go stabbing people, and
Wolverine is faster, but I don't think Wolverine is immensely faster, because him scaling to other, again, street tiers like Spider-Man or what have you, being relativistic or slightly into FTL speeds, isn't too far off from where the current high tiers of My Hero are right now, being able to intercept laser fire from fighter jets. And they're currently being compared to Prime All Might. So it's even if they're a little bit past him, they should be in the same ballpark of speed. Yeah. Where it's if you're taking Wolverine at his absolute best showings, then yeah, no shit, he's gonna win. By that same merit, Spider-Man was able to fucking make Thanos flinch once. But that's not typically how strong the Wolverine is.
In a fight to the death, Wolverine's winning. In a fight not to the death, he's either gonna be sent halfway across the state, like the United States, land in Mexico, or he's just gonna get punched and just collapse. Just done. Fight over.
Yeah. Where it's he gets knocked all the way into another country, then he has to fucking get back up on his feet, get the airfare, travel all the way back to the country, track All Might down again. By the time he's back there, All Might's rested up, he's fine, he's ready to go again. Knocks him back into another country again.
Get an airfare, I think he would just run. He'd just run his way over. He's faster than a fighter jet.
If he's in the US, he cannot run to Japan.
He's probably fast enough to run on water if we were to go versus stats as opposed to logic. You get a boat. Just get a rowboat.
Yeah.
Use his arms, rowboat at the speed of light.
That's a fucking Scrooge McDuck ass feat.
Yeah, I think in a crossover, Wolverine should win in a fight to the death. In a fight not to the death, Wolverine jobs a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, against Raiden, I feel like it's also Raiden he gets fucked up pretty bad a lot.
And then he wins, though.
Where it's
is the thing.
Yeah, he does win, but he does get fucked up a lot. But it's when he gets fucked up, he's able to go back against those people and do a lot of damage. I don't know if he's going to be able to do the same damage against the Wolverine.
He goes for another big swing. He's like, now the way this normally works is this will cut straight through your adamantium. That just kind of tinks off his shoulder blade. He's like, that's not supposed to happen.
This ain't one of your Japanese animes, bubs.
Oh, shit. Fight over. I think this one it's very much dependent on who's writing it, and more than a lot of the others, because Wolverine just is that guy. To consistency with how he's generally portrayed, Wolverine should not even be able to be killed by Raiden. Raiden wouldn't be able to get through that skeleton even with the vibration thing. Because because, like, big surprise, the adamantium in Wolverine's body is not the same as the regular ass adamantium that Arctic Vibranium can melt through. Big shocker. The unique adamantium that literally exists only in Wolverine's body and nowhere else in the fucking universe is not the same as stuff that is not it.
Right. Another personal thing it's just I brought up on my own time because I thought of it. I was trying to think of, like, who would I consider Wolverine's arch enemy? It's like, obviously the first one that comes to mind is Sabretooth, but in the same thought occurred to me Silver Samurai and Omega Red. And I'm like, in a fight between the three of them, who would win? I think my ranking would be Omega Red's probably has the highest chance, and then Sabretooth, and then Silver Samurai.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a fair assessment?
Yeah. I can accept that.
Because I think my reasoning is Silver Samurai typically doesn't fare all that well against Wolverine, and his sword also cannot cut through either Omega Red's armor or Sabretooth's bones. Also,
that's really sad to think about.
Yeah, but it's also, if he's consistently jobbing against Wolverine, Sabretooth is pretty much just a bigger, way meaner Wolverine.
Yeah.
And then with Sabretooth versus Omega Red, well, not only does Omega Red have carbonadium, thus nullifying his healing factor, but his life drain is going to make him stronger the more he uses it, and should be able to affect Victor even if it wouldn't be as fast as someone without a healing factor. That's assuming he hasn't already absorbed life force and strength from the Silver Samurai in the fight. So I think Omega Red would probably win that free-for-all. But that's just a personal musing.
Anyway, Wolverine Raiden I'm going to put in incorrect, but tentatively. Because I think this one is one that very easily could go Raiden's way. Because if Marvel's gonna let any character job in a crossover, it's probably gonna be Wolverine, because anything he jobs to, he's gonna get back up from. Unlike, say,
can you fucking
Spider-Man.
imagine Raiden swinging a building-sized sword down on Wolverine, and then he's like, "All right, that should take care of it." He starts to walk away. Wolverine just pulls himself out from under. He's like, "Fucking ow!"
You
He
asshole.
just turns back around. He's like, "What? Why are you alive?"
I'm
about to make you wish I wasn't, bub.
I'm the best I am at what I do, and what I do is not
I'm the best I do at what there am.
I'm the worst I am at what I don't do, and what I don't do is die.
I'm the worst at dying, because every
feel
time
like-
I'm bad.
That sounds like
I don't die.
That sounds like a diffusion of Popeye and Wolverine would say. I'm the worst I am at what I do, and what I don't do. The worst I am at what I don't do. What I don't do is die. That's what they say.
I am what I am, and that's all what I am. And what I am is the best there is at what I do, and what I do ain't very nice.
Alright, Hercule versus Dan. Absolutely. Hercule's gonna find a way to win this. Mr. Satan is just gonna win. It's funny, because
Where it's like, even if he doesn't win by legitimate means, he could absolutely fumble his way around the fight enough for Dan to knock himself out.
Okay, let me correct it. Mr. Satan's not going to win. Dan is going to lose, and Mr. Satan's gonna be considered the winner.
I think so. People bring up him fucking managing to survive the fight against Kid Buu because Good Boo's holding him back, or survive that smack against Cell. I think the funniest one is in the BoJack movie when they fucking force him into a roller coaster against his will. He gets sent flying headlong at like the speed of sound, and then just fucking crashes his car into BoJack and just fucking like Gohan's getting his shit kicked in, and BoJack just gets hit by a car. But BoJack's just like, what the fuck? And then fucking Hercule gets knocked out of it, and then leaves a Hercule-shaped crater in the ground, afro shape and all.
I really need to rewatch BoJack. It's like one of the best.
BoJack isn't. It's nothing like crazy narratively, but it's fun. It's a good bit of fun.
Right, Yang.
It's like it's a good mix of like actually fun Dragon Ball action stuff and like this is really dumb and corny.
Yeah, Yang versus Tifa. Oh god, let me think. honestly,
I feel like so far Tifa's been a lot more important to her world than Yang has hers, just
yeah,
because.
but I think it's hard to admit it, but Tifa's one-on-one fight of major importance was her losing.
Yeah.
Yang tends to do, like, the thing is that Yang gets a lot more of that plot armor shit she shouldn't. That said, usually when Yang wins, they just give her Blake as like a sidearm to like propel her
Yeah,
around.
to be entirely fair, plot armor, that's kind of what her semblance is.
Yeah, except in Volume 9, every time she uses it without getting hit, and she gets the power up. How's that, Wake? How's that? Blah, blah, fuck that. I actually like Volume 9, but fuck that.
Just shit she stored up from her historical ass beatings.
I'm just gonna say incorrect, just on principle. Mega Man Astro Boy. I mean, I think the Mighty Atom would win that. I'm just gonna say that the big crossover with Astro Boy I can think of is when he crossed over with Goku and Luffy, and the building that Goku and Krillin together could barely stop from falling, not even, he just casually picks up and puts back into place. Like in that
Mega
crossover.
Man does the same thing.
Yeah, but in that crossover, Mega Man's not portrayed as like he's like way stronger than Goku, the way Astro Boy was in that crossover, where it was like, here's Astro Boy, here's Goku, here's Astro Boy being better.
I mean, Mega Man crossover with Sonic, and while Sonic did pretty handily win, Mega Man wasn't completely
He
bitched.
didn't. I wouldn't. Nah, Sonic didn't win that. That was very much like a draw. Like Mega Man had just gone through a lot of fighting before he even fought Sonic, and he was able to stand his own. Both of them basically go, I got no idea if I can take this guy, honestly. And then Mega Man leads him to his own world, and then they continue the fight. Now Mega Man's got the advantage, obviously, but then they talk it out. Because Sonic, like the moment that one of them brings up something that might suggest they shouldn't be fighting, the other guy's like, wait, no, go back, dumbass, hold on. What? And they go, oh, okay, we're just fucking stupid then. Yeah, alright, fair enough. And that's how that
and then
goes.
there's, Mega Man's a pretty relevant player in MVC 1 and 2.
Yeah, everyone's
He
favorite
also beat all the
MVC
Street
game.
Fighter guys.
Yeah, that is official now.
And he's in Smash. It's decent. Isn't a decent showing, I think.
Yeah, well, okay,
Where
but
in his Smash trailer, he's got everybody else on the ropes.
I think with this one, I don't think you're very versed in Astro Boy crossovers, and I know that I'm not.
I'm not especially.
I think
the Luffy Goku one is the only one I can think of off the
Yeah.
top of my head.
I'm gonna put this in unsure because I feel like, or don't know well enough, because this is I think this is definitely a case where we'd need more context of how Astro Boy generally goes in crossover stuff and that.
I feel like in his own stories, it's more common for Astro to lose than it is for Mega Man.
That's because Mega Man's in a video game where if you lose, you just restart.
Yeah.
Green Arrow vs Hawkeye.
So
Green Arrow vs Hawkeye. Who
Um,
fucking gives a shit? Just honestly.
I'm I'm trying to actually think about it. I think I might give Hawkeye the edge just because obviously he's a part of like the Thunderbolts and the Avengers and whatnot. He has plenty of team experience, but it's like
Yeah, but Green, you.
I personally imagine Green Arrow with a team more than I do Hawkeye, but that's probably just because anytime I've cared about a team, Hawkeye was not the part I cared about.
Yeah, Green Arrow spends plenty of time solo too.
And meanwhile, Green Arrow's usually a pretty fun part of whatever team he's on because he's cool.
Yeah, I mean Hawkeye can be cool too. It's just nowadays they've changed him a lot from where he used to be.
They try too hard to make him this fucking ultra badass. I'm like,
You know what they tried
Marvel
too hard to make
superhero.
him?
I don't need him to be.
You know what they tried too hard to make him? They tried too hard to make him Green Arrow.
Fucking there was this cartoon. Me and my friend were scrolling through Disney Plus, and it's like the next generation of Avengers or whatever, where it's like after the first generation of Avengers like fell in battle or whatever. Now Hank Pym has taken up the role of the leader, And in like the first or second episode, there's a falling out where Hawkeye is being threatened to be kicked off the Avengers, and he's like the fucking gruff, angsty, edgy, like Wolverine type guy. He's like, "Fine, I don't need to be a part of this team anyway," and he's like got a really gravelly voice. And then Power Man of all characters is like, "Come on, dude, you're my best friend. I've known you since we were kids. You gotta stay a part of the team. There's no way they can kick you out, right?" It's just like these two enormous muscle men talking like they're fucking. One of them's about to get sent to detention. It was just like the most absurd thing I've ever. If anyone watching this video in the comments knows what I'm talking about, please do confirm this.
Yeah, please justify his unhealthy obsession to bring up random nonsense. I say.
Listen, it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you would say that.
Yeah, well, you would say Kiru, so
You would say fart very loudly.
I have. That's true.
I think Green Arrow Hawkeye, I think... I don't even want to make a call. I just... Okay, so... When they did cross over, they were relatively even, so I'm going to say unsure. Fuck it. Pokemon Digimon.
That's fair.
Charizard would win. They would give it a win.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably the case, but at the same time, it's really hard to even visualize.
It's
a
hard to
Pokemon
visualize
Digimon
the
crossover.
idea. I think they would really tone down War Greymon for the fight.
Because they're just so intrinsically different. Where it's like, obviously Pokemon is like it does have anime. Obviously, even this version of Charizard specifically is anime, but it's like Digimon is a lot more like anime as an adjective, if you know what I mean.
Everyone knows what you mean, Don.
Where it's like the type of absurd shit that happens in Digimon. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if they had Charizard win, but it's like even without the perspective of versus scaling, I would just look at those two things and go, I don't know.
Charizard
I
would
don't
win,
know about
and
that.
Twitter would explode. Half of it would be Pokemon fans going, "Of course he won. Charizard always wins." The other half would be Digimon fans going, "Are you fucking kidding me? Seriously? You want me to believe that?" And that would be how it goes.
They're like, look at that thing. You're telling me that thing beat War Greymon?
You tell me that thing beat Greymon.
Yeah, honestly.
Dante versus Bayonetta. I mean, Dante would win in like a crossover. Dante is that guy.
Yeah.
The one big, like, when Dante crosses over, he wins. That's how it goes. In Namco,
Well,
in Namco X Capcom, he, like, nothing really gets in his way. In Sengoku Basara versus Devil May Cry, he just schools Muramasa, I think. Date Muramasa. He just schools him. No, that's Virgil. Virgil schools that guy. Dante schools the other guy.
Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne.
Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne, you win the fight, and then the cutscene is Dante about to kill you, and he chooses not to. Like, you win the fight, and then the cutscene after... No, you didn't. He's fuck you.
I think the funniest part about that is that it's DMC2 Dante.
Yeah, and he's not even really... He's acting like anime Dante closer to DMC2 Dante. Like, he's still got...
Well, he's doing the coin flip thing that he does in DMC2.
Yeah, but he's still got, like, a bit of, like, fun to him, unlike in DMC2, which is more how the anime did DMC2 Dante.
Yeah, fair.
Where he's got the charm and the fun just to a lesser extent. It feels more like the idea that he's crushed after his brother's death, but that hasn't completely changed who he is. It's just shrouded it in sadness. You know, it feels more purposeful than DMC2 in general. You know, DMC2
did not fill his dark soul with light.
DMC2 might have actually been an accident that they never intended to release. Might have been an April Fool's joke. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell.
When the fuck does it even take place in the timeline? When does DMC
the order is
take place?
DMC3, DMC1, DMC2, DMC4, DMC5, and the anime takes place round 2. It's error. Something like that. Anyway, yeah, this is correct. I think Dante would beat Bayonetta. and then she would beat him. All right, next is Bowser Ganon.
Um, I feel like probably Bowser just because he's Bowser, right?
Yeah, I think because Bowser, but in this fight, Bowser would be playing the protagonist role. This would be like pseudo protagonist Bowser, who Ganon's just always
Yeah.
the villain, the bad guy, evil. End of story. Bye bye. Bowser would be like, "Hey, you took my fucking castle. You fuck you dickhead!" And then he would show up and
Yeah.
he'd beat up Ganon.
Yeah, where it's like I can absolutely imagine fucking Ganon being like this, and then it being like the Dark Bowser fight or whatever, where Bowser shows up, he's like, "I'm done fucking around, and it's time to beat your ass. I'm going to beat you to death."
Yeah, he would.
And like, obviously Bowser's a lot more of a jobber than Ganon, I'd say, but I think Bowser's also consistently like,
To be
I
fair,
don't know, he's Bowser.
Bowser has also won more fights on screen than Ganon has.
He is. I will say, ever since the Subspace Emissary, when Link, Zelda, and Ganon all like meet each other, and they're like going through this like the actual like subspace part of it, and they're going up the stairs to go fight Taboo. I've always thought it would be really cool for some reason in a story to justify all three Triforce wielders standing in opposition to something else, even if they're not like kind of like fucking seeing Goku and Frieza work together, where it's like, can you
Yeah.
fucking imagine? It would be so cool.
I can just imagine Ganondorf.
It would be so awesome. It would be so cool.
I can imagine Ganondorf just like sneering at Link, and then like they work together, but he just gives him like a dirty look. Just both of them. Link
Yeah.
doesn't give him any look
Especially
at all
because it's
Twilight
like-
Link.
Yeah, because like Ganondorf doesn't always have like an active animosity in his cadence towards Link either. Because in like Ocarina of Time, like when Link is trying to fucking pursue him as like a stupid little useless child, he's like, I like your chutzpah, kid. I hope you fucking show up and show me something interesting someday.
He did.
And he did. Yeah, he stabbed him right in the brain.
Yep. He was a pig. Ratchet and Clank versus Jack and Daxter. I think this would just come down to who's more important, and that's going to be Ratchet and Clank.
I feel like Ratchet and Clank, especially because even within their own stories, Jack and Daxter are kind of butt monkeys.
I could also see this coming down to like, Jack goes into Dark Jack, Ratchet beats that and wins, and Light Jack doesn't show up until much later in the crossover.
Yeah, because it's like Jack and Daxter are competent at what they do, but they hit a lot more bumps throughout their story than Ratchet and Clank do. I
Yeah.
feel.
Flash vs. Quicksilver. When they crossed over, the only time Quicksilver had the advantage was when the Speed Force literally wasn't around. And that was Wally. If
Yeah.
it was Barry, that would not have mattered, because he would have just generated it anyway. So,
I was gonna say if it's ever a crossover of speedsters, then you got to bet on the Flash. But you know,
yeah, because it's the
Looney
Flash.
Tunes.
I mean, even with Looney Tunes, like, I'm pretty sure, wasn't it, like, fairly even between them? It wasn't even, like, Flash outright got smoked. It was like, it's just because of gags, that's the one guy to keep up with Flash in a
Yeah.
crossover.
Well, the thing I think it was he saw fucking like a trail of smoke. He's like, "What the fuck is that?" He runs up to it, and then he sees Speedy Gonzalez. He says something to him, and then he runs off. He's like, "Was that a fucking rat?"
Yeah.
He's like, "What was that?
It was
What
more
did I just see?"
More confused than anything. So yeah, this is correct. Flash would win. No shit. Joker vs. Sweet Tooth. It's obviously incorrect, because what would happen is Needles would get his ice cream stolen, and then Kratos would bust out through the Batmobile that Joker stole and just kill them both.
Kratos would bust out from Needles' chest like a chest burster.
Needles would get his ice cream back, and Kratos would bust out from within the ice cream.
Yeah, he would bust out from within the ice cream, and then he would rip Needles in half.
He just slowly rise up like a genie from the ice cream, arms crossed and all. Little cherry on his head.
Joker tells him to smell his flower, and then out of the flower comes Kratos.
Just Kratos' fist, and then Kratos crawls out and just rips Needles in half.
He crawls out like fucking Sadako in the ring.
And Joker's like, "Whoa, I wasn't expecting that one." I guess
That was
that's
not
fucking
in my flower. I did not put him there. Who are you?
When did you get in there?
He like his fist comes out of the flower and fucking punches him, and Joker's like, well, not quite the punchline I was going for, but suppose that works.
I do think Joker would win, but Needles would dominate the fight for most of it, like outright. Against like Joker, not against Kratos.
Yeah.
I think Needles would be dominating most of the fight. He would be ragdolling Joker, and Joker, with his wits and intelligence, would manage to find a win. He'd probably have a machete through his face while he's doing it.
He would try to run away from Kratos, and the Joker would stick his foot out and trip him, and then Kratos would go up behind him with the Nemean Kestis and just break his legs.
He just tears his legs like he did against Hermes, as if like they're on the same level. Yeah, I think that one goes incorrect. I think narratively Joker would win. Mewtwo versus Shadow.
I feel like Shadow's got a decent chance, honestly.
Yeah. It's really going to depend if it's like more anime or more game Mewtwo. Because anime Mewtwo basically or outright never loses. Manga Mewtwo does have a lot more struggles. I didn't even mention the manga one. Manga Mewtwo has a lot more struggles in his fights and is more like balanced. And game Mewtwo barely fucking exists.
Yeah. He hangs out in a couple caves. About it.
Mm-hmm.
He hung out in a cave, got captured by some 10-year-old, and then however many years later decided to go to France.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't you?
Maybe. Were I in the same position, I just might.
Yeah, just might.
Is that true?
Yeah.
I think I would give it to Shadow, especially with because I think Shadow in his base form might struggle, but I think Super Shadow could lock in and seal the
I
deal.
think they would give it to Super Shadow, but then I don't think in a crossover they'd give him Super Shadow, because like that is such a like in a versus scenario we give them the Chaos Emeralds, right? But in like the actual Sonic franchise, they don't just walk around. He would have a Chaos Emerald at best.
I think okay. He has 200 rings. He's fine.
I think Shadow would lose, and then later on in the crossover, Super Shadow and Mega Mewtwo would team up or something. I think that's how it'd go. And the implication would be that regular Mewtwo just does take out Shadow, but then Super Shadow is stronger than Mega Mewtwo, and that's how they'd go about it, because
I think it would be funny if they used Chaos Control to teleport Mewtwo like to the other side of the planet so he doesn't have to deal with him, and then Mewtwo just teleports back. He's like, but god damn it.
What if Mewtwo teleported Shadow to him instead? Like, just teleport him, so while Shadow was walking, he teleported Shadow right in front of a wall, and Shadow just crashes into it.
He's just like, fuck, ow. He turns around, he's like, god damn it. What is wrong with this deformed cat?
He's just like,
weird, hairless alien cat.
There's no need to swear. You fucking dick.
Damn, not here.
I think Mewtwo would just confuse Shadow. He'd just be like, anyway, so why don't you tell me about your past? And Shadow would just go into a flashback and stand there for 10 minutes straight.
He's like, I told you to tell me about your past. Don't flash back to yourself. I can't see what you're thinking about.
Actually, he can. I think it'd be really funny if Mewtwo's like, yeah, no. I did get all that from your flashback, but that was really rude. If it was literally anybody else but me, that would have been entirely useless. That would have been spectacularly unhelpful, Shadow.
Maria.
Just a long silence of nothing, and then you just say Maria. I'm going to put this into correct, because I do think it would be regular Shadow in a crossover, because when they do crossovers with Sonic, he never gets Super, outside of when the team up has to happen. They never give him Super.
It's always base. I can't think of a single time in like a narrative sense Sonic got to be super in a crossover. Outside of the
Um,
ending of Worlds Collide and Worlds Unite, where he's teaming up.
yeah, I was gonna say.
So I do think Shadow would lose because he would not get super. They just wouldn't give it to him, and they obviously forget about the inhibitor rings because that has been relevant once basically. Oh god, this one's awkward. Meta versus Carolina. So
Well, this is canon. This is an episode of Red versus Blue. This is literally a
yeah,
canon debate that they had and the conclusion that they reached. The fight didn't happen canonically.
yeah.
This is them going over it. This is the answer.
What I
This is
think
the correct
is
answer of
funny,
what would happen.
if that was not the context of the episode, this would go into incorrect. Because Carolina is never portrayed as on the level of what the meta was. But because of the context they put the episode in, of course it's correct. Like, just there's objective, and this is the only objective one here, outside of Hagar Zangief
Yeah.
and He-Man Lino and like
Or
stuff
it's like
that.
there's no two ways about this. This is the answer that they gave.
Cammy versus Sonya. I don't care.
Yeah, honestly,
'Cause the thing-
I gotta say, of every Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat character, not my favorites.
I do like Cammy a lot more after 6, which is literally just because for some reason that's the moveset I found myself drawn to in the story. But also, like, just compared to Sonya, it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much to be better than Sonya.
Combat time.
Yeah, that's how she sounds. Cammy is British, though.
That's true. One's British, the other's well. I guess they're both cops.
Yeah, I mean, Sonya is American, so, you know. I shouldn't say that.
That's
Half my
true.
audience is American, more than half. America's great. Only Don's allowed to make fun of it. And Willie?
American here. America sucks.
Thank you. Okay, I think generally, Sonya tends to be more important and doesn't tend to job as much. As loath as I am to say it.
Typically,
I would say Sonya probably would win, but I would not be happy about it.
except the time she died.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Tracer versus Scout. Tracer would win. Scout is not the protagonist. There is no protagonist at TF2. And also, they, like, happily kill off, like, the fucking mercs all the time in like, the Meet the Mercs, like, shorts.
Also, like, generally all of the mercenaries are pretty competent at what they do, but they're also kind of fucking goofballs about
They're
it.
also expendable.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do think Tracer would win, as much as everyone doesn't want to hear it. And I don't, because I don't want to really gas up Blizzard. Ken versus Terry. Terry would win. He's the protagonist. Story over. Also, like, just look at how they're
Yeah.
portrayed, generally.
I just think of the intro in Capcom vs. SNK where Ken has his hat and then he throws it to Terry. Terry puts it on.
That is sick, though.
I'm like, look at them, they're friends.
That is so sick. I would say this is correct. Like, Terry, yeah. He is that guy. Amy versus Ramona. How many fucking crossovers does Scotland Pilgrim have?
No, I can't. I don't think it has any crossovers, at least to my knowledge. Which are we analyzing Ramona as she was or as she is?
Was.
Probably
Amy
Amy
is,
then,
Amy
just
is,
because
yeah.
she's been involved in a lot more like world-saving scenarios.
I guess this is also
Where it's like
including,
more.
this is also including comics and show, where Amy is just treated a lot more like a physical beefcake than she tends to be in the games, which often tend to forget that she is meant to be really strong. Like, it's never emphasized in the games really as much. Outside of Generations, she does backhand knuckles in that one, I think.
Yeah, but it's like she's also an active player in Heroes, in 06, in plenty of the games. Meanwhile, Ramona, like, she helps in the Roxy fight, and that's kind of it.
Yeah. All right, Hulk versus Doomsday. This is a tough one because if there was any like comic villain that would beat the comic hero, it would be Doomsday. Because that's kind of his thing.
Yeah, but then a recent Hulk runs have also been
Yeah,
putting more of an emphasis on his just fucking inability to die.
Yeah. Here's
What?
the. You got a point, but we are analyzing. I guess we can't really analyze what it was then because like we can't really say we don't know what was new then. So I mean, fair enough. I don't think either would die. Well, no, I think Doomsday would die and just come back like 3 seconds later. But neither would stay dead at all.
I think Hulk might win the initial confrontation, and then Doomsday would get back up, and Hulk's like, "Fuck, I'm on empty." Uh-oh.
Yeah, I think this would go in unsure, not because we can't make a decision, but I think because it would be where you draw the line on a win in this regard, right? If it was Avengers versus Doomsday, though, Hulk is going to take that L real hard because, you know, they can't have Hulk do that good when it's the whole Avengers against Doomsday, which I do think is a reasonable way they could do a crossover with him, is because he shredded through the Justice League, just have him shred through the Avengers until, like, Thor shows up or Sentry. Oh my god, Sentry versus Doomsday
It would be
fucking crazy in a comic. That would be sick.
Yeah, fuck, it depends how they feel like writing Sentry that
That's
day.
true. Sentry would lose, though. Not because he should, but because it's Sentry.
When Sentry's being written actually, like, interestingly, he's one of my favorite Marvel characters. I think his first run is, like, super intriguing.
Yeah, in both,
And I
in
think
both,
the
in both of
idea
the
that-
comics where he was written well.
Yeah, I think, like typically the idea of this guy that, like, he is this ultimate, like, powerhouse if we need him, but it's also really hard to rely on him. Like, I can definitely get the angle of that character, but at the same time, nowadays he's just brought in as a measuring stick where it's like, oh, Noel came to town and he's fucking piloting dead Celestials and he fucking killed the Sentry. It's like, the Sentry's back. Didn't take that long.
Yeah. I think if they did a big Avengers thing with Doomsday,
There's a current comic run actually going on where other people are becoming Sentries now. Like, fucking after he came back, and then parts of his power are being spread to other people. So now there's just like a Sentry plague going
So they're just
on.
doing the Phoenix Force thing again.
Kinda.
Yeah,
It's random people instead of superheroes this time.
This is going to go in unsure because I do think it just depends on what you consider a win. I do agree that I think Hulk, in a one-on-one, if it's not Doomsday versus the Avengers, just Doomsday versus Hulk, as you'd assume, Hulk would fucking kill Doomsday, and then not a moment too soon, Doomsday, or not a moment too late or soon, just perfectly timed to fuck Hulk over. Doomsday's going to get back up. And Hulk's going to, like, get bailed out by help.
Hulk smash, gray spiky Hulk. I'm back up, you didn't kill me. Wallahi, I'm finished.
Hulk not smash good enough. Zoro versus...
Smash usually work, Hulk don't got many other moves. I think this might be curtains.
Yeah. Zoro versus Urza. I don't know Zoro well enough. I know Urza's whole thing is that when she loses, she gets back up and then doesn't lose.
Zoro's whole thing is that he doesn't lose to begin with.
So, I think we're at an impasse here. Because
It's like,
seems
Zoro's
to me,
not going to lose a first time.
It seems to me the way this is going to go, they're going to have a fight. Urza's going to run out of power and she's going to collapse. And then she's just going to get back up. And now she's just going to have more power than she had before, somehow. And then she's going to have a go. And then neither of them will lose, so...
Yeah, then Zoro's gonna put on his bandana and gonna actually start trying. The way it would probably go is the way that Zoro's most recent fight went, where it's just them fucking stalemating each other forever, and then someone from both of their teams come along and say, "What do you still do? We have shit to do. We need to go. Stop."
I'm going to put in incorrect, because I do think that would be the funniest way for it to go, and I think that's kind of how it would go. Because
that's what happened in the newest fight is Zoro's fucking fighting a guy, and he's been fighting him for like hours.
I guess I'll put
and
it
then
unsure,
they're
just
trying
to
to
be
like,
nice.
they're trying to leave where they're at, and then one of the other Straw Hats has to come along and be like, "Zoro, can you stop fighting for We need to leave." He's like, "I'm not done fighting yet." They're like, "Fuck your fight."
Yeah. Deadpool vs. Pinkie Pie is going to go into incorrect because neither have the abilities shown to do what they did in that animation. Neither of them break the fourth wall to that extent. They would stop and be friends, but I don't think they wouldn't be able to break the fourth wall like that. Deadpool, the most he's done is like read the script in the middle of an explosion, and Pinkie Pie has stopped like the closing circle of the episode, but then never really done more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Lara versus Nathan. It would go the same way, except Nathan would survive the end. I'm gonna be honest. It's gonna go exactly the way the fight did, but the animation will be finished, and Nathan would survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's correct. Scrooge versus Shovel Knight.
I feel like Shovel Knight's probably gonna win.
Yeah, I mean, given what he did to Kratos, I think, yeah. I think
And
Scrooge
the
would
Battletoads.
yeah.
And in Blade Strangers.
And
in Brawlhalla.
Yeah. I nearly said
Blade
Shovel
Strangers is fucking who made Blade Strangers? I think it's an indie fighting game that had it had Shovel Knight, it had Gunvolt from Monsieur Gunvolt Striker, and it had Curly Brace in Quote from Cave Story. I think it had Isaac from The Binding of Isaac.
That's pretty sick. I think an indie game Smash would be awesome.
Yeah. Well, this was a 2D fighter that happened to have them as guest characters. There is, I mean, there's a handful of indie Smash type games in the work. I think one of them, Indie Pogo, I think it is, has Shovel Knight planned.
Cool. I nearly said Shovel Knight versus Bane.
Shovel Knight's in pretty much fucking everything that someone is like, hey, can we put Shovel Knight in this? They're like, yeah.
So Venom versus Bane, then. Venom would win. Bane is never really the hero. Venom has kind of become the anti-hero sort of thing. Yeah.
The Lethal Avenger.
Power Rangers versus Voltron. Why don't you take this one, Donovan? Why don't you handle this one? That's a good start.
To my knowledge, I can't think of Voltron ever losing. I cannot say the same for the Megazord. The Megazord has had its ass kicked before.
Yeah, and in a crossover where it fought with Godzilla, and kind of got bailed out by the fact that others attacked.
Yeah. Also, the Voltron team are way more of like hardened warriors and are way more together as a unit.
Because
even if a couple of them are a little more unhinged. Meanwhile, the Power Rangers, they work fine as a team. Like they're good at what they do, but they're not above losing. They're not above having their quarrels with each other. They're not above they're also like most of what they do is like a goofy superhero shit. It's not hardened war like what Voltron pilots go through.
So you're saying that it's correct. The Voltron would probably win, but you don't think the Rangers would die?
I don't think the Rangers would die. I just don't think they'd come out on top.
Natsu would beat Ace. And Sub-Zero would beat Glacius, because it would just be like a member of Glacius' species. It probably wouldn't be Glacius himself, I don't think.
In the main One Piece story, I don't think Ace won an on-screen fight, except that time he punched like 5 boats apart.
That is very sad.
And that's like random, guys, because he lost to Blackbeard, he got stalemated by Jinbei, he lost to Whitebeard, he stalemated Smoker. Who the fuck did he even fight anybody else? I think that might be it. In the anime, he fights a scorpion, like a big scorpion.
He dies. He does die.
He does. That's true.
So Natsu might kill him. No, he wouldn't. Sub-Zero Glacius, I do think Sub-Zero would probably win, but I do not know Killer Instinct well. So for all I know, Glacius is portrayed as like an unstoppable. I mean, Glacius did fight the fire guy and win. So, I mean, so
he did, but Cinder's also kind of a goober.
Sub-Zero also did, but Scorpion's kind of a goober too. So, I think Kuai Liang often. Like, he doesn't really get to lose much unless he's fighting Scorpion, is the thing. Glacius, I don't know. I guess I'll put this and don't know well enough, because I don't think I'm giving Glacius enough credit, I think.
Have
Well,
you
it's
played?
also just like if a Mortal Kombat and Killer Instinct crossover happened and Sub-Zero didn't beat Glacius, it's like, I'm
That'd be weird. Yeah, I guess that's
fucking...
completely correct. Because Sub Zero is
In
the guy.
what world is that gonna happen?
Captain Marvel versus Android 18. This fight would never happen in a
Uh,
crossover.
yeah,
If that
no,
ages
definitely
poorly,
not.
if that ages poorly, that'd be pretty great because that means we got a Marvel Dragon Ball crossover officially. So I kind of hope it ages poorly, but
Um,
I I think Captain Marvel would win, and it would be the least satisfying part of the comic.
Probably, but it's like I can imagine the fight would be about as boring as the death battle is.
Metal Sonic versus Zero. I mean, yeah, Zero would win. He is the hero, and Metal Sonic is not that guy.
Yeah, he's also just, a more up-to-date and relevant robot.
Yeah. Lucario versus Renamon. Fuck me. Okay, I guess the question
Lucario.
is which ones though, because if it's just a random Lucario, random Lucarios don't always do super good, but it is also a random
They
Renamon.
don't always do super good, but if it's a difference between Pokemon marketing Lucario and Renamon marketing Renamon, then
Renamon marketing Renamon, huh?
yeah.
I think if
Digimon didn't choose to do that, the internet did.
I guess if it's the Renamon character versus a random Lucario, Renamon's winning. If it's like Mystery of Mew Lucario or Ash's Lucario, then Lucario's winning. If it's two wild ones, then it's probably also Lucario winning.
Yeah, where it's like, look at it this way: Renamon's in Digimon Rumble Arena, Lucario's in Smash.
Yeah. Balrog versus TJ combo.
Fucking TJ
Yeah,
probably. Balrog's a fucking loser.
he's also an asshole and definitely more like he is a villain. TJ isn't really. Shredder versus Silver Samurai. I mean, Silver Samurai he's like slightly south of Jobber territory. Shredder is the guy who solos the whole Ninja Turtle team on his own half the time.
Yeah, I don't see a world where Shredder's losing.
Yeah, because I mean
Which I could absolutely see. I could see the Shredder commending Silver Samurai for being like you're not a bad fighter, and that sword could probably fuck me up if it hit me. But that's the thing is you're not gonna hit me.
Yeah. Also, I'm pretty certain that if it's Shredder would lose if it's like 80 Shredder, and that's about it.
I don't want to conquer this planet. I want to conquer Earth.
Like, if let's say 2003 Shredder, he's probably going to get his arm cut off and then just win anyway. 2012 Shredder would just win. Probably wouldn't lose his arm because they wouldn't be able to get away with the blood. Rise Shredder, Rise Shredder. um, I mean, Samurai kind of already lost to Rise Shredder in his comic, if we're being honest. Movie Shredder, the first one would have a pretty cool fight and he'd win, and the newer one, from the first Bay movie, would win. From the second Bay movie, wouldn't. But he doesn't do
I
anything.
didn't know
that
he
one.
was in the second one.
He gets frozen by Krang.
Oh, cool.
Cyber Shredder
Okay,
would win.
that would be funny though to see uh fucking big robot Silver Samurai from the Wolverine versus big robot the Shredder
Yeah.
from Michael Bay.
That would honestly be really cool. Um, I would be okay with seeing that fight.
You should find figures of them both and do it stop motion. That'd be funny, I think.
I know there's a figure of 2014 Shredder. I don't know if the Wolverine Samurai has like a good figure. I'd have to look into it.
You'd have to imagine there's at least a figure, right?
It'd need to be a good one.
That's fair.
Uh, Smokey Bear versus
You
McGruff the
good?
Crime Dog. I'm sorry, I'm just dying a little bit. Okay, Smokey Bear versus McGruff the Crime Dog. Smokey would win, because McGruff has not been
Yeah.
relevant in fucking ages.
McGruff also just wouldn't throw hands. He wouldn't do it.
No, he'd be like, "That's a fucking bear," and then leave. Okay,
He stops time just to say that's a bear, and then he walks away.
that's a bear. That's
That's
actually a
his
bear.
lesson.
Excuse, am I supposed to beat that? Okay, remember, kids, if you see a bear, don't punch it. Thor versus Wonder Woman. This is the only Wonder Woman
Um,
one where there is a manner of debate as to whether she would actually come out ahead or not.
I
Because
think
I think the comic was like
as it
fan voted, so
was
we can't really go
then,
with it.
I think Wonder Woman would win. As it is now, I think Thor would win.
Hmm. So I think I'd have to say,
Because I think it's particularly in the realm of comics right now. Donny Cates has done so much for Thor and building up the character status in Marvel and building up what he could do and building up like his power and had him go through like so
yeah,
much of an arc that I
I
feel
gotta go
like
with
Thor is in a lot higher of a standing right now.
correct, just because we are mostly looking at these from an at the time perspective.
Yeah.
Naruto Ichigo, go off, King. You can say what you want about this one.
All right. I feel like Naruto would probably win just because when it comes to Shonen Jump Shueisha, fucking whoever's handling whatever crossover project at the time, Naruto always gets front billing along with Dragon Ball and One Piece, and sometimes Toriko, depending on when it is. Meanwhile, Bleach just rarely gets that. Like, it is acknowledged along the other ones as like a really big franchise, and it is part of the big three. But as far as Shonen Jump is concerned, which is the context in which a crossover would and has canonically happened, Naruto's definitely getting top billing there, and I feel like Naruto's going to beat Ichigo. Or like, chances are it would be a stalemate if it happened. But if someone had to win, it would probably be Naruto, just overwhelming Ichigo with numbers. Even if you know, because like obviously I know that there's a lot of contention about how the fight would go, debating actual stats, but
But
if
that's
it's
fine.
marketing it against marketing, then
Well, okay, here's the thing. Remember when I gave you that list of big three movies? You got a big half of it is One Piece, a decent chunk of it is Naruto, and Bleach also showed up.
Bleach has 5 movies, 4 animated, 1 live action.
They do have the only live action film, but they don't have the
Naruto, I
only
think, has 12
11.
movies, 11, 12.
And One Piece has 15, but you said that two of them are just recaps, so I don't need to look at those.
Yeah, it's a recap and then a recap with some arbitrary shit changed for no reason.
Batman Beyond vs. Spider-Man 2099. If we looked at it today, without a doubt Beyond would win, because Miguel has kind of been given this more antagonistic sort of association, and he would be portrayed as the instigator, while previously I feel like it's more he is the hero, but he's just a bit more aggro than your average Spider-Man.
I feel like even then, Batman Beyond would still probably win, just because I feel like there's more of a viewer base for the Batman Beyond cartoon than there is a reader base for the 2099 comics.
Yeah.
And so I feel like Beyond would have a bigger market to advertise to by having him
Oh wait,
win.
no. Beyond has to win. He's got Batman in his corner. He's got regular Batman in his corner. They bullshit it, even if Miguel should have won.
Yeah, I mean he is effectively the genetic son of Batman. Miguel O'Hara's just some guy.
Yeah. Sephiroth versus Virgil. I think
Sephiroth probably.
this was before. If it was post DMC5, I would say Virgil would win, but Sephiroth would tell him, "Yeah, I'm not gonna stay dead. What do you think this is gonna actually do anything to me? This is a distraction at best. This is just for some fun." Then Sephiroth would quote unquote die, and Virgil would go on with his day. But because this is a Virgil who at his peak was in the first game in the timeline, I I think because Virgil beats Dante, then doesn't, then he comes back as Nello Angelo, and then he dies again, and then he's non-canon when you can play as him in 4. I think you can play as him in 4, and then I mean, in the Sengoku Basara crossover, he does smack up the guy he fights, but Sengoku Basara is certainly not as unrealistic as Final Fantasy, especially Sephiroth in particular.
The way I look at this is Virgil is the secondary guy in DMC. He's, obviously not exactly the same role, but for a layman's, he's the Vegeta. Meanwhile, Sephiroth, I think there's a pretty solid case to be made as a villain amongst villains in the wider medium of video games, where it's like whenever Sephiroth shows up, that is like, I think, because it's like Kingdom Hearts, Sephiroth shows up as a secret super hard boss. In Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, nobody expected Sephiroth to show up. He showed up super early as this hidden boss. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, he shows up, KOs the boss of the entire main story mode. Whenever Sephiroth shows up, it is a presence beyond whatever the biggest threat in the room is.
Yeah, the way I see it, if this is post DMC5, I'd be willing to argue that Virgil would be given the win, because he's really gotten that status as unstoppable as Dante, and on even ground, as opposed to as unstoppable as Dante used to be. But I think he would beat regular Sephiroth. Safer Sephiroth would never come into it, and Sephiroth would just be beaten for the moment, and then it would be very firmly established that this was just barely an inconvenience. But this is not post DMC5. This is pre DMC5. I think Sephiroth would just win. Just win.
Yeah. There's also a case to be made where it's like, Virgil's capable of putting on just as much of a show as Cloud did in Advent Children against Sephiroth, but at the same time, that's how it is against Cloud. In crossovers, Sephiroth is a completely different beast. Because in crossovers, whoever the biggest guy in the room is now has to answer to Sephiroth.
Well, and then Cloud is the one guy who can put him down. Like, usually it is just the Cloud show, and no one else is doing anything. Well, we're in the home stretch, because we're going to split this between, 2 sets of 5 seasons. Like, normal. Because it is getting
fair enough.
Late for you, I imagine, and it's also about time I need to start making dinner.
Yeah, 3:10 a.m.
We have only a couple episodes left before the end of this part. We have Batman versus Black Panther. Batman's winning. They're going to give him stupid prep time to get past the vibranium. And what's going to happen?
If it is just if it's a random on the street fight, I could see that happening. However, if it is pre-established and it's like, say, Batman wants access to vibranium or something, he goes to Wakanda, and T'Challa's like, all right, fucking prove to me you're worth it. And they get into a fight. I could see it either being a stalemate, or I could potentially see T'Challa winning and respecting either way, that he's like, this is unprecedented how fucking skilled of a fighter you are. Where it's I could absolutely see T'Challa's powers and his suit keeping up with Batman's skill and his tech, where it's I don't think either of them are giving the other an easy time whatsoever in any scenario.
I actually do
but
think...
I think it really just it depends how the crossover sets up the fight.
Here's my speculation. They will meet and they will fight, and Batman will do well, but he will definitively lose. Then, later in the comic, he'll have some contingency, some plan to get around the vibranium, and when they meet again, Batman will be prepared. Black Panther wouldn't expect Batman to show up again. Batman would this time win, but obviously, after he's won, they'll talk it out, because he doesn't kill, and they'll realize what's going on, and T'Challa would be like, that's actually very impressive that you're able to develop this tech to get parts my suit. I think that if you helped out Wakanda, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. And then fucking we get a vibranium bat suit and then fucking team up to fight a guy.
Vibranium batsuit, and Black Panther would start throwing batarangs made of vibranium too, and that was how they do it.
Yeah, honestly, just Black Panther getting some general tech upgrades from Bruce would make sense, because it's T'Challa's really fucking smart. Wakanda's technology is
they bring
insane.
Back the old Black Panther cape, but now we can glide with it.
That'd be pretty base.
That'd be sick. All right, Raven versus Twilight.
How do you begin to approach a crossover like this?
The way I see it, Raven will start off kind of in her more like unhinged, going mad state, she would dominate Twilight in a fight, and then Twilight would be able to pacify her. That's how they would handle the fight. Like she'd be able to get through to her. So by technicality, Twilight would win the fight. By technicality, but only in that very specific way.
By using the magic of friendship, I could see that happening.
Yeah, I'm going to say incorrect because I do think that's how it would go, but this is not a case of incorrect because in a fight, straight up, Twilight would win. Because in a fight, straight up, I think Raven would win, even narratively. But in the sense of the only way the fight's happening is a way that Twilight's going to come out ahead without making Raven look bad. Okay, Jotaro versus Kenshiro.
I feel like they would probably have Kenshiro win, but I feel like Jotaro would, like, get his licks in.
Oh, Jotaro's gonna get a good few blows in. I think Kenshiro would win, and Jotaro would be like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Like, I can imagine Kenshiro just running up full sprint at the speed of, like, a fucking F1 race car. Jotaro stops time just as Kenshiro gets up to him. And then he, like, lets loose a stand rush and knocks him back, like, 30 feet. And then, like, through a wall. Kenshiro just gets back up and Jotaro's like, what the fuck is this guy made of? And then Kenshiro just appears behind him and, like, knocks him in the back of the head.
I think Kenshiro would take him out, but because, like, Kenshiro can tell, like, if you're a good guy or not, he would hit him with some technique that just knocks him out. Or, like, blinds him for a couple minutes and then unblinds him. Something really specific like that. Or some hit that somehow turns off his stand. He just knows how to do that. That's how it would be something silly like that. While treating it as the most serious thing in the world.
Yeah, probably.
It would be a sick fight though, because like it would be like you get to see all of what Jotaro's thinking, while Kenshiro's strategy is going to be more silent, less complex, and something you figure out for yourself as you watch how he fights.
Kenshiro strategies, I'm going to hit you in a place you didn't know you had.
Yeah. He's going to hit a nerve point on Star Platinum, and that's going to somehow work.
He's gonna go like fucking 3 feet to the left of Jotaro's cheek and make his left leg cramp up, and he's like, what did you do to me?
He punches Star Platinum in the stomach.
I punched your aura.
The same pressure that was on his stomach would also hit Jotaro, and that somehow is going to trigger some sort of nerve point that makes Jotaro's hat fall off.
He fucking just like punches Jotaro in the sternum, and then Kakyoin in the corner is like, fuck, ow!
Yeah. Alright, Crash Spyro, this is going to go into... I've renamed Unsure to Unsure/Both Win, because I'm not really sure how to deal with that. This one is just there, because they literally both won. They did. It was depending on what game you were playing. They both win.
Yeah.
Sora versus Pit. Sora's winning.
Yeah.
I don't know Kid Icarus super well, but Pit is a little bit of... I mean, have you guys seen the Palutena reveal trailer? Did you guys, like, see what happened to Pit in that? That was not a good day for Pit, you know? I'm one of Lady Palutena's warriors. I'm really good. Oh, I'm gonna fucking die now. Sora comes into a crossover. He beats Sephiroth.
Yeah.
Sora's winning. Leon versus Frank. I have no idea, actually.
I feel like they'd have Leon win just to fucking make Leon look like a badass, because that's what they do with Leon. But Frank would pull some goofy shit and have Leon on his toes. And Leon's like, that kind of resourcefulness could be really helpful to a lot of people.
Yeah, and then Frank says, I covered wars, you know. And Leon's like, what does that have to do with anything
Like,
that
what?
I just said? What?
And then he takes a picture of it and goes, nice approach!
Right, Doctor Strange versus Doctor Fate.
I feel like Dr. Fate would probably win.
I feel like, yeah, I feel like Fate would win, except in the scenario where the fight happens because Nabu's in command, and he's just dominating. Kind of like what with Raven Twilight. He's dominating Strange, and then Strange does a spell to either get Kent in control briefly, or to just take the helmet off, and Kent's like, "Thank you." Nabu's being a dick again.
Mhm.
But it really does come to the fact that the gods that are giving Strange his power will probably be associated in same power to Nabu himself. So that's going to be a problem for old Strangey there. Good old Steven.
Yeah. I assume Fate would win just because I think his standing is a little higher in and of himself than Steven. I feel like also just typically he's a little more in control of a given situation than Steven, because half the fun of a Doctor Strange story is something absurd and awful happening and Steven trying to figure his way out through whatever bullshit has happened.
Ryu versus Jin. I actually think the Death Battle did a good job of portraying how I think it would go. In the sense that it would probably come down to Munoken Ryu against Devil Jin. In which case Ryu is going to win that. Not by slapping him in the nipples and then blasting him once. That's not happening.
That would be pretty funny.
Just slaps him in the tits and Jin drops out of devil form to go, "What was that?" And then Ryu just punches him in the face.
Jin still in his devil form just covers his chest. He's like, oh, hey.
And then Ryu just punches him in the face, knocks him out while he's distracted.
Denjin Shin Shoryuken.
This guy, Jin just down, just out. Yeah, I do think Ryu would win. I think Ryu would beat Jin, Kazuya, and Heihachi in a crossover. Not together, but just because he is the hero compared to all three of them.
Yeah.
Heihachi's probably the one you could probably make the most argument because of just how much bias the Tekken in general has for Heihachi.
But Ryu's Ryu.
Yeah, Ryu is Ryu. He is Mr. Fighting Game. He is the fighting game guy.
He fights the game.
Yeah, he was in Mortal Kombat. Jack versus Afro.
That's probably Jack.
I did not know either series well enough. I'm gonna be perfectly honest.
Because Afro's whole thing is obviously trying to keep both of his headbands. But I feel like what it would come down to is that Jack is every bit as skilled as Afro is in swordplay, if not more so, and then also a master of a million other different things, from jumping to archery to horseback riding to wrestling to fucking boulder carrying.
He's just gonna jump into like a forest, cut some trees down, grab some spider web, just make himself a bow on the spot. I joke, but that could happen in Samurai Jack, and I wouldn't be surprised. I've not seen it.
Wouldn't even surprise me. And it's also just like the whole deal with like Afro fighting like robots and like demons and shit. Nothing out of the realm of what Jack has dealt with. Yeah. Where it's like it feels like Jack has dealt with more or less the same stuff that Afro has, and is just better in a wider range of areas.
Carnage versus Lucy. Lucy would win. She just would. She has been in the protagonistic role, and Carnage is a dickhead.
Yeah, Carnage is just the worst.
Optimus Prime versus Gundam.
I feel like Optimus would probably win.
Trash the RX-78-2, but when he finds out there's a person inside, he's gonna stop.
He just like fucking punches a hole through its chest, like you can see like his little hand feeling around inside of the cockpit, and then he grabs Ray and pulls him out. He's like, "Oh, hello. I didn't realize there was a person inside of this."
I actually think Optimus has to win, because the Gundam is... RX-78-2 is not Amuro's best mobile suit. So, like, if he didn't win, that'd be pretty fucking embarrassing. That'd be pretty shitty. Alright, last 5 for today. Nightwing versus Daredevil. I don't know why I emphasized Daredevil.
Nightwing.
Now,
probably Nightwing.
The fight does portray fan-made web show Nightwing against official MCU Netflix original Daredevil.
Yeah, but Nightwing's Batman, so.
Yeah, that's true. Nightwing would win. All right, Mario vs. Sonic. Oh wait, hold on. What? I just got to put it in the opposite of where I put Mario vs. Sonic original. Ultron versus Sigma.
I feel like Ultron's walking away with the win there, because, like, in Infinite, they just fuse together.
Yeah, I think Ultron's just coming up ahead, because, he's just portrayed as better. He is the guy.
Yeah.
And
well,
I
like,
think
Ultron is a very recurrent. Well, it's like Sigma's a recurrent threat, but it's like at a certain point, Sigma becomes more of an annoyance. Where it's like they beat the big bad guy, and then Sigma shows
and
up. They're
then
like,
Sigma.
yeah, they're like, this fucking asshole. They're like, what do we have to do to get rid of this guy? It's like a cockroach that keeps coming back up. Meanwhile, it's like every time Ultron shows up, they're like, oh shit, fucking game faces. It's Ultron.
Roshi versus Jiraiya. They would both find a way to lose this, I'm sure. Like, both are just going to see as a pretty woman, and they're just going to let each other hit.
The difference is, Roshi doesn't have that many on-screen losses. Jiraiya has never won an on-screen fight.
Has he not? I'm trying to remember.
Nope.
Oh.
He has been in a couple team fights with inconclusive results, like when the Sonic all, throw down and fucking all the other guys are there. Not really a conclusive winner. Obviously loses to Pain. And then, if you'd believe it, that's like the only two notable fights he's in. Well, I guess against Itachi.
The fight he put up against Pain was probably cooler than anything Roshi's done outside of, that one thing with the big rock in the sky.
Roshi was cool in the Tournament of Power.
Yeah, but
he's alright.
It was alright.
Jiraiya is definitely as memorable. It is one of the best parts of Shippuden. Jiraiya also has this fight against Itachi, but that's also barely a fight. Itachi just gets away, and Jiraiya can't really do anything to stop him.
Yeah, I think pre-Super, you might be able to have a debate as to who should go out. You'd probably just side Roshi a bit. But now with Super being a thing, which was a thing when this was out, and with Roshi fucking keeping up with Jiren for a bit in the manga, Jiraiya's fucking dead. I mean, he is, canonically. He's fucking dead.
Roshi did that too, but he got better.
Yeah, Roshi got
better. He's done that a couple times.
In fact, it's kind of his thing. Well, no, it's not. His thing is the exact opposite of that. Thanos versus Darkseid.
He outlived the Immortal Phoenix. I think it got, like, the flu or something like that.
That's really stupid, and sounds exactly like the kind of hilarity that Toriyama would put down. So,
well, that's the first time we meet him. Is he's like, "I'll grant you immortality. Come to me, Immortal Phoenix." And then Turtle's like, "No, it died. Remember, it got sick." He's like, "Fuck, that's right." It's like, "What do you mean the Immortal Phoenix died?" He's like, "Listen, I'm working with what I got." He's like,
I forgot.
Oh, I got it. Yeah. Magic flying cloud.
I forgot that. Yeah. Thanos side. This is gonna be a really sad one to end on because what happened was Darkseid got the gauntlet and he went, This shit sucks, though.
This is dumb.
This is useless. It's a fucking... I can't even fit... This doesn't even fit on my hand. What kind of manlet hands have you got, Thanos? Fucking wee little mitts. I gotta, like, really stretch to get in there. This is a struggle. And what do I get for it? I get
no.
I get a stinky little glove with some flashy lights on it. I gotta go to one... This works in one fucking universe. What are you operating on a single universe?
When I get my end goal, I'll get to live with my beautiful mistress Death for all eternity.
Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up, Thanos!
You just get sad math. That's all you get is sad math.
You are working on a one universe scale. These 6 things you put your life into getting work on a one universe scale. What kind of galactic tyrant are you, mate?
I got a cube. It does other stuff. The cube's pretty strong.
So you got a square. You got a square.
No, it's a cube.
It's your big weapon is geometry. You got geometry.
Well,
I got arithmetic.
Your big angle is math, so it's the same thing.
You got geometry. I got calculus. It's just a different thing. They teach your thing in primary school, buddy.
Geometry's more fun.
Yeah, it's shapes though.
I got a cool gamer chair.
I've got maths that makes you sad. You just got maths that is sad. That's
I
you,
got a cool,
Thanos.
I got a cool gamer chair. I got a bunch of planets.
My planet is the size of the multiverse, and you got a couple little rocks, itty bitty rocks. Even when I throw my planet into a universe, still bigger than your planets. I literally got bigger balls than you with only one ball. How's that feel?
Yeah,
Fucking-
well, I fought Galactus once.
Yeah, how'd that go for you?
I'm alive.
So not well. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Whatever, man. You suck.
If I suck, I don't even think there's a word to describe what you do, mate. Jesus. Why don't you go fight Squirrel Girl again? Dickhead.
Shut up. Why don't you go get mugged again?
Yeah, I will. I made those muggers do that. I am evil. I'm so evil I mug myself.
Why don't you go cameo in another Ambush Bug comic and work at McDonald's?
Oh, I fucking love Ambush Bug, though. He's sick. Sicker than you, mate. Love Ambush Bug. He's my guy. Yeah, Darkseid wins.
Like, what do you have, Deadpool?
You had the hanging with Deadpool. I got Ambush Bug. Ambush Bug. It's a lot in the correct spot right
And
now.
you know it cuts deeper for Thanos because he fucking hates Deadpool.
Yeah. There's a lot more in the correct than I expected, which I guess makes sense, right? Because if a character has more billing and more like emphasis in their series, they got a better chance of like getting something worthwhile, especially in the earlier seasons where it was less about scaling and more about like what they have, their abilities and such, and how impressive they are like in context. So it does make sense early on, at least, that more would be correct because it would be more playing more emphasis into the character side of things. So I'll be interested to see how this goes later. Because some of these I know are just there's one in particular that I know is like the poster boy for this whole concept. That's Dio Card. We'll get there. We'll get there.
As of about half an hour ago, the new episode of Sandland is out. Episode 12 streaming on Hulu.
Well,
Go watch it. Also, episode, I think, 8 of the English dub is also now streaming on Hulu. Go watch it. That's to the viewers of the channel, not you, Nem. However, I encourage you to also watch it.
When I have time, I will. I got to get the Kamen Rider Agito. I spent all my free time watching movies for a video. I'm going to get back to Agito. Then I got to jump into my list of other things to watch too. For now, though,
I've only got 3 more manga left to read, also from Akira Toriyama, so I've almost read every single one he's ever published.
make a ranking video, but not including Dragon Ball, because
I'm sure gonna try. Well, no, Dragon Ball will be in it if it happens.
it will be number 1.
Yeah. Well, so you don't know.
It's like your second favorite franchise behind Pokemon. I have no idea.
Well, for all you know, Tokimecha could be peak, dude.
You will fucking randomly message me something about like some cool random Dragon Ball fact. The most you've done for like anything else is going, hey, remember the time Orale had shit on a stick? And I go, yeah, all the times, in fact.
Me
Okay,
message
yeah,
you going, read Sandland. It's only 7 chapters. Please read Sandland.
I might read Sandland. I might watch Sandland. Eventually.
It's real good.
I
Viewers at home, please watch it. It's so good. Also, the game is coming out soon, April 26th. It hits Xbox Series S and X, PlayStation 5.
It'll probably be out by the time
I
this
think
video comes out.
PC? Yeah, so play the game. Also, the manga, you can get it in a single volume. It's also on the Shonen Jump app and the Viz website. Membership's like $2 a month. It's nothing.
Go support me on
You
Patreon.
have no reason not to read, watch, or play it.
Go support me on Patreon. Ignore Donovan. He doesn't have a Patreon.
Do both.
Yeah, do both. Alright, that's the end of this video. Do you want to say anything other than shilling stuff?
Listen, I'm only shilling because it's Toriyama. I wouldn't do it for anyone else.
All right, good night. Oh, does that
Um,
include me? Wow. Okay. Well done.
You already did the shilling for yourself.
Yep. All right. See ya, folks. We'll get back to this at a later date. A later dater. See ya, fuckers.
I'm starting to see things crawling around where there aren't things crawling around.
Go to bed.